That's horrible.
It is.
Well,
all right.
The New World Order had their meeting over there in Gitmo Nation Lowland.
Yeah, but Obama, man, he said a few things that were kind of boring.
Obama, well, this being the Netherlands, I was, without even being there, just being able to follow the reporting was very interesting. This was really a show of epic proportion.
Now, you should explain to the listeners, producers, that you sent me a copy of a ludicrous
the opening video,
what I called corporate video.
Yes.
Because somebody I was noticing on my blog, well, was that corporate? What corporation was it? I said, no, it's a style, you idiot.
It's the Corporation of America of the Gitmo Lowlands is what it is.
Yeah, so it was a corporate style video that was so over the top.
Yeah, it was 7 minutes, and I cannot find a production house to take credit for it. But it was obviously commissioned by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands. 7 minutes.
You have a link to it.
Oh yeah. No, I've got a link in the show notes. I actually have an extract from it. I took about 40 seconds where there's some actual speech in it.
Actually, most of the time it's just the guys.
Well, it's all the sponsors. You've got all the big corporations in there. Although interestingly,
there's a lot of name dropping.
Yes, interestingly, Siemens popped up with the medical devices, which should have been Philips. I thought that was a faux pas, or maybe someone paid more than the other guy. I'm not sure. But it was very much like an Olympics type opening video where it interacted with the room. And if you didn't see this National Security Summit, you need to go look at least a couple of photos. This thing they have the Illuminati triangle with the all-seeing eye in the middle. They're all wearing little triangle pins. You can laugh at the conspiracy theory, but come on. Are they doing this just to mess with us?
Yeah.
Check out this little bit in the middle. Essentially, this summit, and very little was published in the news here in America, at least, about the summit itself. Essentially, this was a summit to once and for all remove all nuclear material so we really can have no nuclear power anywhere. Under the guise of it's for safety. Hello, Illuminati! This is from the video. Listen to this track. Hi, everybody! Hello, delegates! Welcome, Illuminati!
Nuclear material has an important function. We use it to heal the sick and light our homes. The chances of terrorists
staging a nuclear attack are small.
But if it were to happen, the consequences
would be devastating.
So we have to prevent
nuclear material
from falling into the wrong hands.
We have to protect nuclear material from falling into the wrong hands. And this whole stylized thing, and a piece of this triangle falls out of the sky, and a guy finds it, and then there's a whole race to get it into the...
I thought it looked like a radioactive rod.
Well, it did look like a
It's glowing.
It was a glowing rod. It falls out of the sky.
The Simpsons radioactive rod in the Simpsons opening sequence.
It was really quite despicable, I would say.
Running around with the rod, giving it from one person to another, burning their hands off, and then they bring it into the stage somehow.
So
it's changed colors to red. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah. It was glowing. Now, you have to understand that the Netherlands, for weeks now, were preparing for this summit. And the takeover of the country, the lockdown, road closings, and people could not get to work because of this summit. And our president comes, the show we put on is, we had, of course we have Air Force One, we had the backup Air Force One. We had, I think, 4 C-5s, and these planes, by the way, they all had 33. I kid you not, they all had 33 in their call sign. One of the C-5s was called U-Haul 33, and that contained the helicopters. So we shipped over the helicopters in the 130s of the C-5s. I don't know which one they fit in. We had 6 or 7 cargo planes, and his car.
And a stupid car.
And hundreds of Secret Service agents who, of course, are all partying. Because it's one big party. I'm sure you heard, 3 guys, got sent back. Because this is what it is. It's a big party, and the commander-in-chief everyone's living it up. And then they close all the roads, and then the president flies his helicopter to the center of Amsterdam and lands on Museumplein, which is... I don't think a helicopter has ever landed there, ever. I don't think the Dutch Marines have ever, not even on Liberation Day, to go see the Night Watch. And then, to me, it was almost disgusting to see him and the Prime Minister of the Netherlands in front of the Night Watch, using the Night Watch as a backdrop for these douchebags.
Explain what the Night Watch is.
The Night Watch is one of the... It's a painting by Rembrandt, and it is hailed as one of the most important pieces of work by him, mainly for the way he uses light, natural light, and shadow, and the realism of it.
It's at the Rijksmuseum, isn't it?
It's at the Rijksmuseum, yes.
Yeah. I saw it once, and I think it's considered the most important work because they have it.
Well, there's that.
To be honest about it.
There's that. Yeah, there's that. And what's interesting, if you look at all the statements that come out, which this really isn't discussed at all what this summit was about. It was about removing highly enriched uranium and plutonium from all these countries that joined in. And so, yeah, there's
let's take your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take away all of your nuclear material, and I guess we're then going to sell you our gas. Because Japan, we're not. We'll give you all that highly enriched uranium, please. But anyway, so the show, John.
I can't believe they would land a chopper. I know we're not.
One, John, 3, and 2 were hovering. No. But the thing is, I was receiving selfies from people who were at some point, maybe 10 yards away from the president in The Hague. Just leaning out of their office window. So for all of the hundreds of security personnel and all this big show, there was even a report this morning that I received. A couple of students, they're studying. Let me see if I have it here. They were studying, I guess, IT security, and they wanted to see if they could breach the security of this event. So they put up a phony baloney website about their student project, and then they submitted for student press credentials, and they got it. And they're taking pictures of themselves with the president 5 yards away. So the whole thing, it's a show.
Yeah, that's your security for you.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is a show. And the Dutch, by the way, I think they love it. They love Obama. They think he's just the cat's meow. Oh, he's so cool. Even though they were a little annoyed about all of the security and the closure still,
Yeah, but they've been putting up with stuff like that for a while.
Yeah.
It's better than Germans taking their bicycles.
Well, and I have to say, the Dutch Prime... So Obama arrives with his helicopter detail. Rutte, the Dutch Prime Minister, arrives on his bike. Yeah, and I think that's... Yes, right on. Right on. That was funny.
His bike.
So here's the press conference that was one of the press conferences of the president and the prime minister. And another thing I like about this prime minister is he just keeps saying Barack. He doesn't say Mr. President. He says, "Hey, Barack. Yeah, Barack, I agree with what you said there," which is cool. Yeah, and
if you can ride a bike into there where some guys dropped a helicopter, you can call him Barack. I think you have the.
I think it's outside of protocol, but it's very Dutch. And I like it. So they do this press conference, and they're answering questions. I have 2 clips here. And it's very interesting, because of course, everyone's not asking about the nuclear security summit, but about Russia and Ukraine. And so the President Obama goes in this whole thing about, sanctions, and hey, it could hurt us, it could hurt the economies of many countries, but, that's what it is. We got to do this. And you know that Siemens... The president of Siemens visited Putin yesterday in the Kremlin. How does that work? Where's the anger and the outrage over that? Because they have a multi-billion euro deal. PepsiCo is all freaked out. They do billions of euros a year in Russia. But okay, the president starts talking this bull crap about, oh, well, if there are more sanctions, it might hurt somebody. And then the prime minister of the Netherlands jumps in to kind of save the day at the end here.
But we are also concerned about further encroachment by Russia into Ukraine. So what I announced and what the European Council announced was that we were consulting and putting in place the framework, the architecture for additional sanctions.
I love frameworks and architecture. You know, nothing good can come of that.
Additional costs should Russia take this next step. It has not just been my suggestion, but it has also been the European Council's suggestion that should Russia go further, such sectoral sanctions would be appropriate.
What does that mean?
It means nothing. But here it comes.
Areas potentially like energy, or finance, or arms sales, or trade.
That's pretty much everything right there.
That exists between Europe and the United States and Russia. And what we're doing now is, at a very technical level, examining the impacts of each of these sanctions.
It's technical. You stupid slaves don't understand. It's technical. Pay no attention. We're doing technical stuff.
Some particular sanctions would hurt some countries more than others.
Oh, well, really? Oh. You can see that now they actually have a shot of the prime minister of the Netherlands, like a secondary camera shot from the left, and you can see him go, what?
But all of us recognize that we have to stand up for a core principle that lies at the heart of the international order and that facilitated.
Why don't you say New World Order? Don't give me this international order.
European Union and the incredible prosperity and peace that Europe has enjoyed now for decades. And so
prosperity, does that include the 1 million people who demonstrated in Spain 2 days ago? Is that your prosperity?
Although it could cause some disruptions to each of our economies or certain industries. What I've been encouraged by is the firmness and the willingness on the part of all countries to look at ways in which they can participate.
All right, jump in. Jump in, Prime Minister.
If economic sanctions will be necessary, because this conflict would escalate to a next stage. That if this were to happen, these sanctions would hit Russia very badly. And obviously, you can never guarantee that the people in Europe, in Canada, in the US would not be hurt. But obviously, we will make sure that we will design these sanctions in such a way that they will have maximum impact on the Russian economy and not on the European, the Canadian, the Japanese, or the American economy.
Show damage control.
Don't mention Germany at all, because whatever you do is going to
screw Germany. Now, at the end of this press conference, I have a little Q&A. Something very embarrassing happened. No one clapped for the president. No one cared.
America has always believed in terms of privacy, rule of law, individual rights.
Privacy.
That has guided the United States for many years, and will continue to guide us into the future.
Right there is why he didn't get the applause.
And here it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you again.
One slow clap. One guy. That's it. And then it just empties out. And when disappointing when you don't have your shills.
Yeah, you have to load up the audience with a bunch of them, and somebody probably got chewed out for that.
Oh, of course. That was
for all the people that are supposed to start the clapping.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of people begin clapping as they load audiences up to do that.
Yeah.
But apparently they had one person or nobody.
No, it was a full room. It was press. But
this is how arrogant these guys are. He actually. I'm sure nobody even thought. Why would we need that?
No, the Dutch love him. Of course, they'll be all in. What? No one clapped? Well, that won't happen again.
No, that won't happen again.
And of course, this is actually the first time the president answered something correctly in regards to the nuclear security summit, which For some reason, this clip got a lot of play on mainstream news, but everyone was focusing on the words Russia being a regional power and not on what the president actually said.
Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the number one national security threat to the United States. I continue to be much more concerned when it comes to our security with the prospect of a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan.
I can just see the FBI guys going, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's thwart one of those for our 6-week cycle. Let's get some guy to think he's going to light off a nuke in Manhattan.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
It would be perfect for them.
Yeah, no, that'd be a good one. That would keep the budget for. They could actually drop the whole thing if they could.
If they could do that, if they could really do it well.
They're going to have to really do a better job than they've been doing, though.
It's been quite pathetic. I agree.
You can't have some moron, or you can't have a story with the holes everywhere and the internet's all over it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, finding errors.
Right.
They have yet to perform. These have all been lame. These events.
Although they did get off on the 6-week cycles, it's not that it was unexpected. But the FBI, I guess the judge came out with his with the judgment, and the kill of what's the Ibrahim,
the guy in Boston.
Yeah.
The brother who was run over by his brother, but then he was shot.
Todashev, the buddy that they went.
Oh, the guy who was
in Florida.
In Florida. Right, it is a great. I don't know if everybody must have heard this, but it's.
Well, we give
them the background.
Yes, the background is this was one of their buddies, one of the so-called Boston bomber buddies, and he needed to be eliminated because I'm sure he had some information on why these guys never could have really done this. So the feds, the FBI specifically, go to Florida and they go to interrogate him, and he winds up getting shot 6 or 7 times, including one in the back of the head. And
by the FBI.
By the FBI, yeah. So the Florida prosecutor wrote the chaos during this interrogation, and I find it weird that we don't have video. I'm pretty sure they always run
I think they
GoPro.
stopped the cameras and killed him. Yeah. It was that simple.
So apparently Todashev flipped the coffee table he was writing on over as he was writing his whatever his confession was. He struck an FBI agent who was sitting with them. Then he dashed to the kitchen, and then he came back with a pole holding it in the style of a javelin, with the end of the pole pointed towards the officer, as if intended to impale rather than strike. And they killed him.
See, the story's changed.
Right, so they shot him 3 times in the right side of his torso.
The story was he came at him with a butter knife or something.
Yeah, remember? So they shot him 3 times in the side of his torso, but he got up and tried to make a low-angled lunge, and the special agent fired another 3 to 4 shots. And some of the bullets hit him in the back and in the back of the head. So there you go. A guy armed with a pole. A pole.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is.
How come on television you always see? Have you seen this True Detective series on HBO?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
I haven't seen the last one.
Oh.
Don't spoil it for me. So we have the last episode. We're holding on to that.
It's funny you should mention that. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but. Well, let me just
no, don't please don't.
All right.
Our friend
for a funny thing.
Our friends who are from Louisiana who have family in one of those houses, one of those big Tara houses.
Yeah.
They think it sucks. They don't.
They think why? Because it paints Louisiana as a bunch of hicks and weirdos?
Yeah, a bunch of hicks and child killers. Yeah, that would be part of it, I'm sure. Now they said the acting was better in the first half, which I kind of agree with. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't think.
But when you look at that, they'll shoot a guy in the head because they don't like him. But generally, they're beating people up and there's fights, and it's not always killing people. And now there's 4 or 5 FBI agents interviewing an unarmed dude he's armed with a kitchen table and I guess a broomstick, a pole. There's no specifics on the pole, and they have to shoot him in the back of the head. Come on. Whatever.
And you think I've always, in the movies, it's one of those situations that occurs. The FBI guy put his gun down, take his jacket off.
Yeah, right.
And then get into a hand-to-hand.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'll show you.
A broomstick. What's the worst that could happen?
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile,
I had a couple of things as we're on this with the Holland thing. Ukraine did come up in the conversation.
Yeah, it did. That's pretty much all that it was about, wasn't it?
I think so.
Did you see Kerry with the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov? What he gave him?
What did he give him?
2 large Idaho potatoes. That was his gift.
It looks like his head.
Yeah. He said, "Here, look at these and you can think of me."
Yeah, because you can't grow potatoes in a place like Russia.
It's the weirdest thing.
All they grow.
What kind of gift is that? I mean,
it's like Obama giving the Queen a CD of
himself.
His speeches.
Yeah.
His selfies.
Yeah. That's how we roll, ladies and gentlemen. We are dicks. We have no culture. Here's a potato. Thanks, man.
Here's a funny thing that happened right during the event, actually during the G7, that interrupted the news story. This is the North Korea story, and this got, as far as I can tell, it was an attempt to get some traction. Nothing came of it.
The Bank of the West Sports Report is next on KPIX 5.
And this just in, North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles. CNN reports they fell into the Sea of Japan. The South Koreans believe the missile launch is a message to President Obama and other G7 leaders meeting in the Netherlands right now.
Did it have a little thing on the side, spray painted? Like,
what was the
hey,
message?
Barack? What was the message?
What was the message? Was it in the missile? Did somebody have to go fish it out of the water?
We're coming up short. Is that the message?
Make a phone call instead?
Well, did you see Marie Harf? She was back on the stage.
Oh, I haven't seen her for a while.
She's not. Yeah, she's been out for a while. Of course, Jen's been busy.
Yeah, Jen's, I think, is an egomaniac, and she's taking all the jobs.
Yeah, of course, Marie Harf is the girl who sounds like.
In this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
And she had the funniest little bit. There was almost no one there, which is why I guess she was pushed out. And I gotta tell you, the more I look at her, the more kind of sexy I find her. And she had a sweater on, which is kind of low cut. And she has this, it's a really geeky thing that's, I don't know, something about her that I kind of dig it. And here's the foreign policy regarding Ukraine from our State Department for the press of the world.
The only other thing I have at the top is, I'm sure many of you just saw the president's speech, which focused much of it on Ukraine, focused on the world speaking with one voice about the truth about what's happening there.
Truth!
And bringing the international community together.
No, wait, listen for the truth.
Together to make clear what is happening. So you're going to see 2 photos behind me. As part of our commitment, you might recognize these 2 gentlemen. As part of our commitment to mobilizing the international community in support of Ukraine.
How are we going to mobilize the international community in support of Ukraine, John? Do you have any idea?
Sanctions.
No!
We are coordinating with our partners and allies a global social media campaign with the hashtag United for Ukraine.
There you go. Hashtag United for Ukraine. That's how we're getting everybody together.
We are asking the world to show their support for Ukraine on social media by using the hashtag, as I just said, United for Ukraine. Take action by sending U.S. officials and department accounts tweets with pictures showing how committed we are to this.
Send tweets with pictures showing how committed you are. United for Ukraine. Hashtag United for Ukraine.
As the president said, no amount of propaganda can make right what the world knows.
Yeah, what is this then? This is not propaganda. No amount of propaganda can. Well, this is a good start.
It's wrong. So our goal with this campaign and everything else we're doing is to make sure the world knows what is happening, what is the truth, and making sure people come together again and are united for Ukraine.
Okay, it's on Twitter, so it's truth.
Let me give it. I have to play these 2 clips now. I was going to push these off, but. This is the script, the CBS script, as it was, as the truth, quote unquote, the truth. And then when they do the follow-up segment, it kind of goes off script. Just play these 2 clips. This is CBS.
Analysts have been watching the buildup of Russian infantry, armored, and airborne units for more than a week and estimate they are positioned to seize 3 cities in eastern Ukraine: Kharkiv, Luhansk, and Donetsk, all of which have a predominantly Russian-speaking population. That would give Putin a direct route by which he could keep his newly acquired province of Crimea resupplied. In a phone conversation, Defense Secretary Hagel asked the Russian defense minister to explain the purpose of the buildup, which Russia officially calls an exercise.
he told me that they had no intention of crossing the border into Ukraine.
But no one is taking that to the bank since Putin.
Don't take this to the bank.
What, if any, influence the Russian defense minister will have?
David
You can take that to the bank.
Uh-huh. All right. Wait, John. Is Hegel still in 2008? Is he reading old transcripts?
Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank? Seriously?
You can take that to the bank.
So they send the guy out there, and this is the report he comes back with.
So, what does it actually look like on the ground in eastern Ukraine? Well, one of the cities that David mentioned is Donetsk, and Charlie D'Agata is there tonight. Charlie, what do you see?
Well, Scott, the scenario in Washington doesn't fit the situation that we've seen on the ground here. Now, we have been to the border outside of Donetsk. We've seen Ukrainian forces digging in. We have seen some Ukrainian military units moving toward the border. To go without saying, we haven't seen any Russians to speak of.
No, shut up. What? That's not, whoa.
That guy's going to get a memo.
Okay, so I told you about Siemens. So Siemens CEO met, this is in the Financial Times, met Putin yesterday and commits company to Russia. Siemens makes gas turbines, stuff for gas transmission and storage.
They make a lot of big gear.
And let's see, 2 days ago, Gazprom and Siemens extended their strategic partnership agreement. The Russians and the Germans, they are tied at the hip, and none of this is working out very well for Germany. Meanwhile, Ukraine has agreed in their IMF talks to a 50% gas price hike. That's for the consumers of Ukraine. Hello. How's all of that democracy working out for you? The people have no idea what is about to happen to them. They really don't. But when you get involved with the IMF like this, and it's now it seems it's gone from $15 billion to more like $20 to $25 billion.
Yeah, more requirements.
Yeah. It seems.
Yeah, privatization of everything. They're going to get screwed. Oh, yeah. This is a great. I have to say, it's kind of remarkable that they pulled this off. Us, that is, Newland.
So there are more countries in play now. Of course, we've been looking at Transnistria, which is right in between Romania. Is that in between Romania and
Moldova,
Ukraine?
I think.
Yeah. Well, Romania is now in play. There's a couple of countries in play. Romania, of course.
In play. In other words, we're going to send people over there to foment trouble. Like the guy said, foment is the key word.
Romania is a NATO member. And Romania is now, of course, strategic because they're right on the... let me just double check. I think if I'm not mistaken, Romania sits to the west of Moldova. Hold on. Romania map. You see, this is the Romania. Yeah, exactly. Romania is to the west of Moldova. So Moldova is right in between Ukraine and Romania, and we know Transnistria that's the one that's really in play. And Romania is going to have to be a part of it, and specifically because they're a NATO member. And what I believe is going to happen is Romania is going, if we need to do some kind of military action, Romania will be attacked because of Article 5. If anyone attacks a NATO
so
member.
Who's going to attack Romania? The Russians?
Well,
or are we going to just phony up an attack?
I would say phony up, and here's Newland.
This is an important year for Romania and for the transatlantic relationship.
And she's got her red coat on.
As Romania celebrates 10 years in NATO, the United States is grateful for your country's commitment to our alliance and to all we have done together to support peace.
This woman is stirring up trouble in Romania? Is that what you're telling me?
Stand by.
Freedom and democracy at home and abroad. Today, we are all watching events in Ukraine with concern, and we have jointly condemned Russia's military aggression and its attempt to annex Crimea.
Wait for it.
Together, we also stand with the Ukrainian people as they seek to build a more peaceful, united, democratic, and prosperous future.
And by the way, Ukraine was not in a state of disarray. I mean, yeah, there were protests going on. Yes, there was stuff that happened, but it's not like Ukraine was this horrible, violent country.
Over the past 10 years, as NATO allies, Romania and the United States have worked together in the Balkans, in Afghanistan, in the Mediterranean.
We have killed a lot of people together. Good work, everybody.
The Romanians? Are you kidding me?
And the Black Sea. And as NATO allies, we have made a solemn commitment to each other under Article 5 of the NATO Treaty.
Woo, let me just remind y'all.
Today, I want to reaffirm to the Romanian people that the United States honors its commitments. The United States stands by Romania as a friend and an ally, and we look forward to continuing to broaden and deepen the very important work that we do together.
Attention, Romania. You are about to be hijacked. Attention, citizens of Romania. Stand by for trouble!
Yeah, that's how it goes.
The nerve.
Yeah, and to send a she couldn't even go there. Oh, fuck those guys. Let's just make a video.
Oh, she didn't go there. She just sent a video
It's a video, yeah. One of those.
Yeah, too much work. Even those are,
She had her and her face is all puffy now. I don't know what's going on with that. Of course, a lot of this, more and more, I would have to say, is looking like the gas angle is really where it's at. Now,
yeah, they did mention, I was listening to one of the rundowns of how great Ukraine is, and they mentioned shale gas. Apparently, they got a couple of big fields there, so we can start fracking.
And the more
I was interested, I was watching French 24, and there's this, and when they have the debate, which is really a good show, they have these different people, and they're very diverse. There's nothing like the talking heads that we have. And there's this socialist woman, is a communist actually, and she's the one she's all over the scam that you identified, which is to get our gas into Europe, and she's like spotted that a mile away. But she went off on, of course, because the French, of course, have banned fracking throughout the country.
Right.
Essentially, there's no fracking in France. Total.
They only do it in
England.
They only do it in England. They do it in Africa with black people.
Yeah, Total is fracking everywhere they can, but they can't do it in their own country because the French have banned it. So she went off on that, talking about why don't we just ruin
Yeah.
Essentially, I thought she had the good arguments, but of course she's.
Do you have a clip of this woman? Do you have a clip?
No, I don't have a clip of that because what I was kind of focusing on. I do have a couple of clips of this.
Well, can I just play Haiku Herman really quickly? He is after all the president of the.
Yeah, play him, and then I want to do a little thing on McCain.
Okay, good. Here's a Haiku Herman.
We spoke about the recovery in Europe, which is taking hold. The focus now is on reinforcing economic fundamentals and on jobs. And last week saw the finishing touch on the banking union, the centerpiece of a stronger Eurozone.
Yeah, that's where the citizens get to bail out the banks.
And we also spent some time to discussing energy, especially energy security, and what we can do together to reduce Europe's dependency on Russian gas. Our G7 energy ministers will meet on this soon. Today, together with President Obama, we reconfirmed our shared commitment to an ambitious transatlantic trade deal.
And so just to finalize that, the president is now using this, as I predicted, this crisis to shoehorn the TTIP and get this moving. Although I think it's also, gas is gas, right? And you can trade it without actually even shipping it anywhere, or you can store it and ship it later. I mean, the way that works. So I think if you look at Chevron and their $10 billion commitment in Ukraine to frack the shale gas there, essentially they're probably going sideways and grabbing it from Russia. Who knows? I think that while we get all this export stuff teed up, we're just going to essentially grab it from Ukraine itself and sell it back to them. I think that ultimately that's the best way to do it.
Plan this as in an economic hitman scenario.
Yes, you're like, hey, I got an idea.
Bring the IMF in there, and then you have all these requirements, and one of them is privatization, because that way the government. The main thing that these guys don't like, and you see it in countries. Actually, you see it curiously in Alaska, where the public gets a piece of the action,
which Sarah Palin did. I might point out.
Yeah, she managed to make it so if you live in Alaska, you have
stupid woman, the moron nut job who's incapable got the citizens of Alaska a piece of the action.
But you go to places like Ecuador where you're always trying to overthrow these countries because you want Shell and Standard Oil and Total and all these other guys to own these gases, and the shareholders benefit from the mineral rights and all the other stuff that you steal from the countries.
Yes.
And these countries Venezuela is a good example, and they keep trying to oust the new guy.
Yeah.
Because they got to get somebody in there that privatizes the oil wells, so they stop, even though they do it. The irony, of course, and I think we can justify some of our activities. The irony is the job they do of sharing it sucks. Yeah, Venezuela doesn't share it. They share it, but it's a piece. It goes to certain people. It doesn't go to the public at large. No. They don't do a very good job of sharing it. No. So there's that argument. But it's still,
look at if you really look at the setup, and the setup is Greece. Everything has been privatized. And Greece is a part of the gas transport system. Cyprus, so it seems like everything was all set up to cut off Russia and get it in either from the Leviathan fields, from the Mediterranean, or any way but from Russia is just going to be cut off. This is exactly what the president is saying. Isolate. Just isolate it. Just cut everything off.
Isolate is the word he keeps using.
Yeah, isolate. And
now, so this begs the question, it begs, please.
Oh, the question is begging.
It's begging. Why is it Gazprom, or is it Gazprom was taken over by the government? It was privatized at first, and then now it's the government agency kind of thing, and they're running it. It's just an anti-government ownership. What is the reason we're trying to screw Russia? They play ball. No.
Do you remember all these guys? Everyone got effed out of their ownership. All these, we had BP, TNT, was it TNI, BP, all these collaborations, and the oligarchs in Russia, which I'm sure Putin was a part of, they screwed everybody. They threw people in jail. They took away all their shares. And you do that with BP? You do that once, my friend. Once. That's what happened. That's why it's like, okay,
that's what happened.
All right, you know what?
That's exactly what happened.
Now watch what we do to you, and so there you go. It's tit for tat, and it's always about the same thing. It's about your resources and your hookers. There's nothing else matters.
Well, Russia's going to have to do something. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they should beg for mercy. They're just in a heap of trouble. In terms of the way they're going to be cut off, but they're the ones who started. If you're going to use that as the basis, and I think you can. So let's listen to John McCain, who's all in on all this.
Well, he just wants war. He just wants.
The guy is a horrible person.
No. I have to rescind. I have to restate. He has long-term post-traumatic stress disorder. The man he's not well in the head. And I understand why, because whatever happened to him in the camp, all he can think about is killing people. He's sick. I feel bad for him now. He's sick.
So I want to play a couple clips. One is the McCain. This is the first that was McCain and followed. This was on Democracy Now, I believe. Yeah, I think so. And it's like he has this little speech that he gave that everyone's talking about, and then there's a little follow-up. But then we go to 24, and there's a French guy who's actually a former Russian who used to be in the Gorbachev administration, who discusses what's really going on and how McCain is totally full of crap. And I agree with him, because I researched this, that McCain had predicted that there was the Crimean situation, and he hadn't. In fact, I've got a document I want to read between clips, but play this.
And I also speak again in the strongest terms that we need to send military assistance to this country. We need to help them defend themselves. Russian troops are massed on the border of eastern Ukraine as we speak. I don't know whether Vladimir Putin will go into eastern Ukraine. I did predict that he would go into Crimea. Now I believe he is watching carefully for the reaction of the West, led by the United States of America.
Of course, in part one of our discussion, Bruce Stokes, you said that 6% of Americans support military intervention. Does that make John McCain a one-man army?
Well, it certainly means that he's got a very small choir behind him. And only about a quarter of the public would support even strong economic sanctions. Over half the public does not want to get involved in the Ukraine. So one of the challenges facing those who want to get tougher on Russia is that they have yet to convince the American public that that's in the U.S. self-interest.
Yeah, and that's going to continue. So they're going to have to brainwash the public to get us on board, apparently.
Tom Clancy predicted this in his book, too. He predicted the Russians going into Ukraine. It's right there in his story, in Crimea specifically.
Yeah,
it's in the book.
It's not a hard prediction to make, but McCain, I can't find any evidence that he made it. In fact, he went on the 5th of March. I have a transcript where he was grilling Hegel, and it's obvious that he didn't have any clue about this. McCain says, so despite all the media reports, our intelligence sources predicted that Lavrov would invade Crimea. And Hegel says, I don't get into specifics on an open hearing. McCain, well, how about commenting on news reports? News reports are bullshit, says Hegel. Well, not quite, but summarizing. Okay, in other words, if Secretary was not predicted by our intelligence, it's already been well known. Another massive failure because of our total misreading of the intentions of Vladimir. He goes on, and he never says anything. He's just making everybody else look bad.
A politician who lies? You kidding me?
So here's the Russian guy analyzing the situation.
Andre Garcha?
Yeah. Senator McCain has just said that he had predicted that Putin would go into Crimea. I think that in this sense, maybe he knew about that before Putin himself, because 3 months ago, Putin didn't have an idea at all of going into Crimea. In a way, Crimea has fallen into his hands as a fruit and as a result of a succession of, I would say, terrible errors that have been made first by the Ukrainian elite, corrupted and delegitimatized since already the time of the first Orange Revolution. And then I would say a completely erroneous handling of the Ukrainian case by the European Union. And here I would support what Jacob has just said. Ukraine being a kind of the composite country representing the diversity of peoples. It's not a people or the people yet. Maybe you are having the diversity of it, and let's not forget about the people of the Crimea. And so to put Ukraine before an impossible choice, either Europe or Russia, that was the direct road to tearing or to breaking up this society. And actually, what makes me very concerned is that this approaches, or let's say, is moving the situation closer to the analogy with Yugoslavia.
Oh, where we bomb people to freedom?
Yeah, there's that. And now this guy, I do have a second follow-up clip to this. This guy's kind of interesting. And he does have another analysis here, which I think is...
Who is he again? Who is this guy?
He is a former minister during Gorbachev's administration. I believe he is now just in France. I think he's French now. They can barely speak English. But he's one of the analysts they bring on Van Cat every so often to discuss Russian stuff. And I don't have his name, unfortunately. But
I like him. I should watch. I don't have to watch this. You watch it for us.
I watched that one. Yeah, I like this stuff on there. Yeah. But anyway, this guy, he has another follow-up analysis later in the program that's interesting.
At the moment, when Putin, not yet thinking about invading Crimea, has suggested to the European Union a three-party formula to handle the case of European rapprochement with the European Union, it was rejected. Then next time when Europe, in a way, in the eyes of Putin, had betrayed him,
was at the time when an agreement was reached in Kiev about a transition period when the whole of the Ukrainian society would have time to prepare for the elections. Well, it didn't stand the half an hour before it was rejected by Maidan. So when we are speaking about the necessity for the Ukrainian people to make a choice, let's make sure that we are not meaning a Maidan people who has still to get the legitimization of the whole Ukrainian society.
To be more inclusive. I can't let you get away without asking you about what your former boss said, Mikhail Gorbachev, who says that it was the redress of a Soviet-era mistake, Russia taking over Crimea.
Well, Gorbachev, being half Russian, half Ukrainian, you can imagine that this is a terrible choice for him, but like many Russians and many Crimeans, he was living as a kind of historic injustice, the fact that Crimea has been attached to Ukraine. But at that time, the decision which was made by Khrushchev in '54, Crimea could, why not, become part of Ukraine, because both Ukraine, Crimea, and Russia were all Soviet.
You know, if only in schools we would stop beating the STEM bullcrap bush and teach our kids some modern history.
Yeah, it would be useful.
It would be very useful.
To summarize what he said, and I remember, you remember this, we both remember this, Putin said, because the Ukrainians did a deal with Europe, and Putin said, oh, yes, and they would do this.
He said, why not have a tripartite?
Yeah, you guys can do the deal, and then we'll stay partners, and we'll give you some money.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it, and then no, the Europeans said no, and the Maidan, which is of course the riots that took place that were orchestrated by the United States State Department, from what I can tell, were the troublemakers. Yeah. And you know, there's another little side bit here that I picked up here and there, is that apparently the Crimeans, and they talk about the Crimean Republic, they were on their way to independence outside of this entire.
Yeah. Well, they were already autonomous,
and they were semi-autonomous. But they were on their way to independence, and there was the point somebody made that they were following every single rule that the UN had set down for autonomy if a country wants to split off. There's a bunch of apparently international rules, and they were following them to the letter. But nobody ever brings this up. The whole thing is just is ludicrous. Anyway, I thought this guy was good.
Well, it's all we need to really realize. This is about one thing and one thing only. It's about Putin screwing our our oil and gas companies, and now that everything is set, we got our watermelon head guy in the State Department, the skull and bones Yaley Kerry, with the neocons. It's just okay. We're just gonna do exactly what we should have done earlier, but now we let Barack do his little thingamabobby. Yeah.
We could have done this earlier, but it would have been too obvious.
No. When I look at the grand picture, Hillary Clinton was setting all of this up. She was more in Baku and in Georgia and in all of the pipeline routes and the oil states than anywhere else, setting everything up. But of course, she doesn't want to. Doesn't want to be directly responsible, so she hands it off to Kerry, who is kind of like he's like the dumb warrior, But you give him the pole.
He's the hatchet man.
Hatchet man. Thank you. You go, I will go and do it, like Lurch. And then once that's all set, it'll take a couple of years. We get our oil, our gas exports, everything set up.
Who is the
she's
guy?
She's going to jump right in. She'll be president, and she'll be ruling the empire.
Yeah, no, it's
a perfect setup.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. Gorgeous.
It's long game, well played, madam.
But who was it that sent an email in criticizing you for saying, "Oh, Kerry"? What's that? Where did
No. That was the Obot saying you can't call Kerry dumb.
Kerry stupid. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that was something.
I'm just losing my.
Your mind? Your mind?
Losing my mind.
Well, on that note, John, I'd like to thank you for your courage and wish you a very happy in the morning.
In the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. And all the dames and all the knights out there.
And, of course, our artist, thank you very much, Martin JJ. He did it once again with the art for episode 602. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can find all the submissions. And in the morning there, chat room, NoAgendaStream.com, NoAgendaChat.net. Thank you for standing by and helping us get through our live show. We do this program live on Sundays and on Thursdays, 9 a.m. Gitmo Nation West time in the morning. And, of course, none of this type of analysis...
And in the morning to you, Adam Curry, in the morning to all... Oh, I'm sorry.
None of this...
Stop myself.
Yeah, yes. None of this analysis will be possible if we... you don't see this on mainstream or commercial media because the advertisers would not stand for it.
No.
They would not stand for this type of talk.
That advertise too.
And subsidiaries. And not just that. Everyone has a stake in this. We have no stake, therefore no agenda, so the only way we can keep going is through your support of the program, and we always thank our producers. That's what our listeners are. They produce in many ways, and of course, when you come in at the $200 or $300 levels, you can become an associate executive producer or executive producer for an episode, and just like Hollywood, we give you a real credit for that, unlike those phonies in Hollywood will vouch for the credit.
Yeah, we do have a few executive and associate executive producers who save the show because we have quite a few, actually, 4 and 4, which is another balanced show, starting with Brad King, $350.05, who writes, and I value your time more than most, so just a simple thank you. He's kind of throwing it to the others to shorten their notes. Take a day off for Easter, and the same to everyone running the stream, dead or air rules.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. It's not really a good idea. I appreciate the links and tips on the home email server. I'm good, but shit, it looks hard. Adam's got a book he's going to do.
You know, I have
Hopefully it's a book that gets finished.
I have received so much feedback on this Digital Preppers book.
Yeah.
That I have actually started an outline. I'm starting to work on it, and people are really into it. They say they'd buy the book.
I'd buy the book.
But it will have to be a giblet.
It'd be an e-book.
Yeah, a giblet.
You can. Well, actually, you might go. You can.
Well, you're the book man. I just want to take your. If I follow your advice, I know that I'll write a great book.
If it ever gets published, it ever gets finished.
I didn't say it would be finished.
Christopher Gilgout in Coquitlam, which is a little town. It's one of those Indian name towns, and it is in BC instead of Washington State, which is where most of them are. 34567, which I really like that donation amount. 345.67.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
And he just sends another short note. He says, "The truth never lies, but when it does, it lies somewhere in between."
Mm-hmm.
And he also says at the bottom is a kind of a P.S. Karma, gratefully accepted.
Okay. And hand it out.
You've got karma.
With pleasure.
Vic Ogburn in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pretty little town, 33333. Thank you for your courage. You've been enjoying the best podcast in the universe for free for way too long now, and had to finally break from my boner status. My good friend Gary Sonomans hit me in the mouth, and as a newbie, I kept waiting for him to donate so I could understand the protocol. I now realize that he is a douchebag. Can you please call him out as such? Douchebag. In addition, could you give a happy birthday shout out to my beautiful wife, Blair, who turned 33 yesterday? 33. She turned 33.
He doesn't understand the protocol.
Thanks for the entertainment.
He's supposed to send a picture.
Yeah, he did send the picture. Thanks for the entertainment and the value for value service that you provide. Keep up with the good work, and I get a de-douching, Atlas Shrugged, and Huntsman.
Absolutely.
You've been de-douched.
Atlas Shrugged.
By Ayn Rand. 他不太了解这个事情。
You've got karma.
By the way, the sound effect is always done live by John.
What?
That sound effect is always done live.
What are you talking about?
Okay, let's play it again.
It's on the clip. Atlas Shrugged.
By Ayn Rand.
Yeah, you're right. It must be on the clip. It sounds different every time.
Sounds the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Goad, 33333 from Bettendorf, Iowa. He's emailed a note, which I have here.
Oh, nice.
Bettendorf, by the way, is an interesting place. It's a kind of a middle of nowhere place that's got gigabit Ethernet that I believe the city put in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all gigabit, and it's like, instead of Google or anybody else doing it, I think it's a great idea.
Everyone here in Austin is so excited about their free Google Fiber.
It's not going to be free.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes.
Yes, sir, it is free.
That if you allow them to track you.
Oh, well, screw that.
Yeah, no, everyone's all in. Oh, I have nothing to hide.
Anyway, Bettendorf's interesting to me because I wrote a column years ago in PC Computing. Is one of my April Fool's columns that usually gets some attention.
It used to be hilarious.
And
then the internet ruined it.
So this one was about how Sioux City, Iowa was going to change its name to Gateway City because of the Gateway 2000 computer company being there, and they were buying the city name.
Was that the Cow computer?
The Cow.
Is that gone now? Is that dead?
No, they were bought by Acer or somebody.
Oh, okay. Right.
Whatever the case, it got in the newspaper on the front page of the local Sioux City Times or whatever it was, right above the fold, about the denial by the city council that they're changing their name. This town, Bettendorf, is maybe one of the earliest examples of a town that did change its name from, at the time, Gilbert, Iowa, to Bettendorf, because there was the Bettendorf Coach Works, or some little company that came and said, yeah, we'll move in and bring our factories in there, but you got to change the name of the town to us. So this is not unprecedented to change the name of the town.
That's a nice name, Bettendorf.
Yeah, I guess. I think the company went long since out of business. Anyway, he writes in, I'm a first-time donor, long-time boner. Thanks for all your hard work and making truly the best podcast in the universe. My conscience can't handle freeloading for another show, and I'm long overdue in fulfilling my end of the value for value contract. NA is a bit of a family affair in our house since my wife and kids often overhear the show while I listen. My two little girls shout, in the morning, each time they hear it played. My wife makes fun of me because I'm always referencing the two of you as the guys, as if you two were two friends I speak on a daily basis.
Like we're hanging out having beers.
Yes. Please find my first donation towards knighthood of 33333. Nice. Every time Adam asks for photos of hot women, I crack up probably because I do the same, so I figured I'd include a fun photo of my MILF wife.
Did you see the photo?
Yeah.
Excellent. And she's funny. I love it. She's like, she has no problem just lifting up her shirt.
Yeah.
Here for the guys.
Can I get a de-douching for myself? Karma for all the No Agenda listeners, and a big in the morning for my girls.
Absolutely.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
In the morning. And I would just like to add, I'll add a MILF to that.
MILF? That's one mother I'd like to.
I would prefer us to be referenced as the boys.
The boys.
Instead of the guys. I think the boys. The boys.
The boys is better.
The boys were saying this about Putin.
Bill in Glen Rock, New Jersey, 23333. Feels great to contribute and support the value for value model on this show because it provides a valuable service to the public. This pre-donation clip was hilarious. I don't remember which one that was, but it was on the last show, I guess.
I think it was one of yours a couple shows ago.
Steve Carr, $201.01 in Red Rock, Texas. No note that I can find.
Red Oak.
What'd I say?
Red Rock.
Oh, Red Oak. Yes. Oh, actually, because the rock was, I can see how that happened. And finally, Claudia Gerber, not finally, second to last is Claudia Gerber, Lisbon, Ohio, $200, and Matt Ash.
Hold on, she had a note.
You have it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. I sent it. I don't want to bitch or anything. Hold on a second. Yeah, it was very important, actually, that we read this.
Let's find it. It's in the email.
Yeah. I'm looking. I wasn't prepared for this. Claudia.
No, right
here it is. What's her name? Claudia
Gerber.
No, this is not the right one. Crap.
I have one here, but it doesn't. It's just a notation of donation received.
I was pretty sure that there was something. It was for her husband. That's why I'm feeling crappy. Go on, read the next one. I'll look for it.
Okay, but I don't have it in my box. All right, where am I? Oh, I've got it on the spreadsheet. Let me go back. All right, we'll get back to Claudia in one way or another. Matt Astbury in Wauwatosa in Wisconsin, $200. Been a boner too long. Your show is as critical as oxygen or even CO2. Please throw me a mac and cheese funky version and some new human resource karma for my dame to be coming in June.
Okay. What is that? What is the funky version? I guess
think that's the one with
this one.
Yeah, mac and cheese life. Mac and cheese. No, not that. It's the one where mac and cheese slaves.
You've got
I'll do that one.
karma.
I can do that one too. There you go.
You slaves can get the mac and cheese, macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese. I really feel bad about this Claudia email, and I have a real bad feeling that this was like for her husband, and now this is not going well.
You're not finding it.
No, maybe I'm wrong.
You might be. Why don't you go look in your outbox and see if you send it over?
That's what I'm looking. I can't. I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't have anything here at all.
Well,
there's one. Nope. I just have the guides are different. No, I sent Eric 2 things and he did both of them. So I don't know.
Well, Claudia,
that's okay. We'll find out. She'll tell us.
We'll find it. We'll fix it. Yeah, we'll find it. We'll fix it. Of course. Was that it? Are we done?
That would be it for show 603. I want to remind people to go to Dvorak.org/NA, channeldvorak.com/NA. No Agenda Show or No Agenda Nation. There's a donate button there to help us out on 604, which is coming up on Sunday. This show, we had a good amount. We had the right amount of executive producers, but after you'll see in the
everything else, yeah, it's going to be a short
fall off, and I think I know the reason why.
Yeah, because you haven't opened up the club. People need the club. That's why.
No, it's not that. You know what the reason is? I'm sure of this. I think, well, people really enjoy us deconstructing news stories. I think the Hillary killing Bill thing is depressing to everybody. And I think we just have to drop it as a topic. We made our point. I think we're done with it.
Really?
Yeah. I noticed this because the drop off after the show last Sunday where we discussed it in detail was obvious. And as I mentioned in the newsletter, and the newsletter talks about it even more. And I think we talked about it enough.
The newsletter failed, huh?
I think the newsletter failed because it was too. I think that discussion of the bill health and all the rest of it, I think is just too severe.
It's just pushing it a little too far.
And I don't think it's really our necessary model. This is like an extension of analysis that really is not based on anything except supposition. And I think it bothers people.
I'm willing to play along.
Yeah, so we don't need to talk about that anymore. But we made our statement. And when something happens, you know what happens. It doesn't happen.
We also got a note from, I think, was it Ramsey? I think he said, please plug noagendaplayer.com, which we haven't done in a while. And indeed, it is a fine website, noagendaplayer.com. You go to that site, and it has a rundown of topics of each episode, and you click on it, and it goes right to that topic in the show.
Yeah, Ramsey is the guy who does this noagendacds.com.
Yeah,
and he
we'll be doing our clip show.
He's going to do the clip show, and he's going to probably do a second clip show for later in the year. And I've talked him into doing some theme shows that we can use as giveaways or whatever. That would be about one topic.
What do you mean giveaways?
Well, either give them away or we sell them or put them. I don't know.
Sell them. What is this? It's not Pez. Give it away. Sell it.
Well, what would you suggest?
Just as a primer. We need more.
Okay, well, that would be fine too.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, whatever we do with them, which will be a valuable resource for us.
Yes, it'll be valuable.
He says that it's still, there are still like topics that we've discussed that were dropped into various shows. And he can't find a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
And so he needs that site that you just cited to be a little more robust, right. So he can use it as a resource.
You can also go to search.nashownotes.com. That does a pretty good job of searching across all the show notes.
Yeah, but the show notes are not the same as the clips.
But the clips,
you got to pull clips from a 3-hour show.
Yeah, no, I understand, but sometimes the topic will be in the show with the clip, and then there's it's a way to find out an episode number. I use it for the very same reason.
For the episode number plus.
All right, everybody, thank you so much to our executive producers and associate executive producers for keeping the show on the air once again.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And please continue to go out there and do the very important work of propagating our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up.
Just listening to the stream, who the hell is Christopher Gilgout? The name is Christopher Kilgore. The Americanized version of the name is Kilgore, also name of a town in Texas. I use the original Scottish spelling, Chris Kilgore. All right, booms. Hey, we're sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Hey, man, we're sorry.
Score, not gout.
Hey, by presidential proclamation today, we were talking about it just earlier. Hey, everybody.
He's listening on the stream.
Yeah, he's listening on the stream. Everybody, by presidential proclamation, happy Greek Independence Day. Yeah. How's that working out over there? Gotta love it. I also saw that the president extended the under the War Powers Act. Is that it? I think it is. War Powers Act. That sounds right. We sent another 150 dudes, personnel to fight to assist in finding the Lord's Resistance Army.
Yes, I have a clip.
And we will play this clip after I ask you a question. Here's the president sends.
I had a question for you.
Well, can I ask a question for you first, and then we'll play the clip?
Yes,
you can ask
play
me
the clip, then I'll ask you the question.
So the president sends this note to Congress, and he says the total number of U.S. military personnel deployed to the Central African region for this mission is now approximately 280. Here's my question. If it's only 280, is it that hard to get the exact number? Why is it approximate? Why does it just give me the number? Do we not know? We can't keep track of people? You can't call Hagel and say how many people, and Hagel looks at the spreadsheet and says 283?
I have no idea. That's a good catch.
Mm-hmm. All right, that was my question. You have no idea. Good work. Let's play your clip.
The U.S. has sent a deployment of soldiers and military aircraft to Uganda in a claimed effort to assist in the hunt for rebel warlord Joseph Kony. The African Union has led a campaign to defeat Kony and his Lord's Resistance Army, a group that's notorious for kidnapping children, forcing boys to become fighters, and using girls as sex slaves. The Washington Post reports the U.S. has sent around 150 special forces and 4 military aircraft. The U.S. soldiers are ordered not to engage in combat unless in self-defense. The Obama administration says the deployment won't affect a review of U.S. ties with Uganda following the country's enactment of an anti-LGBT law last month.
Okay. What's your question?
Well, let's see. This Kony thing started it become popular. I mean, this guy's been around for a long time, but it became popular in 2012, which is resulted in that phony movie and the Kony 2012 thing.
Let's revisit that properly, because it was an internet sensation.
Yes, it was.
It was a hype of incredible magnitude, and we still believe the YouTube numbers were faked, were phonied.
Yeah, they were roboted.
And then this guy who was running the Kony 2012 the whole program, the nonprofit, freaked out and started running around naked, jumping on cars, and that was kind of the end of the whole thing.
Yeah,
that was funny. Bring that guy back.
It was a very funny episode, especially for our show.
Yes, bring him back.
Now, let's say they wanted to get this guy Kony, and he's out there floating around. Don't we have enough? I mean, with the NSA spying on every single American, knowing where you are, and then tracking you around the area with RFID and everything else, how come we haven't figured out where the exact location of this joker? from satellite data and some intelligence sources. Why don't we know right now exactly where he is, and why don't we just go in and grab him?
Well, the answer is, of course, if he's still alive, we know exactly where he is. This mission is not about Coney at all. It's something else that's going on, obviously. There's some dig or some exploration or something is going on. It has nothing to do with this guy. Who gives a crap? Who cares?
He's enslaving little boys and girls.
No, he's not doing that anymore. The latest reports, or the most recent reports, have him down to 40 guys walking around in some jungle they don't... Yeah, this is clearly about something else. Fighter jets. Fighter jets to find a guy in the jungle. Please do not insult my intelligence. It has nothing to do with Coney. No.
I'm disappointed that you feel that way. Coney must be stopped.
Now, the LGBT or LGBTQIAP angle is interesting in this case. The president is on his way now to Saudi Arabia. And I would like to revisit something the president said on the Tonight Show when Jay Leno was almost done hosting it, in regards to Putin and LGBTQIAP.
And I have no patience for countries that try to treat gays or lesbians or transgender persons in ways that intimidate them or are harmful to them.
Well, that's really strange, because in Saudi Arabia, homosexual conduct is punishable by death. And gays are often banned from schools, thrown in jail, whipped. So how can he go there?
Well, I don't know. I think we should need to write a letter to the White House and ask.
Hypocrite douche.
Oh, you did, and you just figured this out.
I just wanted to point it out. And while I'm on that, you'll recall that American Apparel and the All Out organization were selling these sweatshirts and T-shirts and all this stuff for LGBT advocates in Russia during the Olympics. It was what is it called? Project 6, or what was it called? Principle 6.
Making money.
They are refusing to tell anyone how much money they have sent, if any. If any.
This was supposed to be like a quasi-charity deal?
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
So you buy a sweatshirt and so much money is given to the cause?
And they have not published it. They refuse to publish it. They're being asked.
Oh my God, not another scam?
Yeah, but it's American Apparel. Do not buy anything from these a-holes. This is all these nonprofits, all this stuff.
NGOs, nonprofits, charities, hate the whole thing.
Yeah, it's all being
It never
used.
ends. That's what's funny about it, if you want to call it humorous.
Yeah, it's sad. On Haiti, I actually have something. Here's something really humorous. Hold on a second. Where is it? Here was an interview with Chelsea Clinton. And my mind boggled over this little. I think she knows the girl that was interviewing her. It was for some women's cable show. I'm not quite sure what it is. And it's just mind-boggling, and you'll understand why.
I hear you are obsessed with diarrhea. I am obsessed with diarrhea. Why? I'm obsessed with diarrhea because in the 21st century, I think it's completely unacceptable that still across the world, more than 750,000 children die every year due to severe dehydration due to diarrhea.
Hey, Chelsea, why not ask your dad, Bill, about the Haitians who have diarrhea, who he has stolen the money from, that we had all these big doo-ha's and big charity balls and everything for, the billions of dollars that never made it there, and then the UN that gave them poop-it-out disease, and they have diarrhea. They're dying from diarrhea if you're so obsessed. These people make me mad.
Are you done?
Yeah.
That's a good catch, though.
And
not a clip of the day, though.
No. You want the clip of the day? No,
I think that actually, now that I think about it, that was a crappy clip.
In the morning. Just to clear out my palate, cleanse out the palate, I'll do my final LGBTQIAP. And by the way, people, that is the full abbreviation.
Let me write it down. I always forget it. You just it rolls off the tip of your tongue. What is it?
LGBTQQIAAP stands for
LG what? LGB?
Follow me. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, bicurious, transgendered, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, allied, and pansexual.
So it's LGBTQQIAAP.
Correct, sir. Fox News, by the way, is still using the word homosexual, which now has become a slur.
So H is not in there.
No, in fact,
homosexual is a slur.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. If you don't say LGBT, which is why I like saying LGBTQQIAAP, then if you use the word homosexual, then the New York Times is now wrote a piece exploring the, quote, often derogatory connotation of the term homosexual. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Wow.
You can't say homosexual anymore. Then you're Fox. So Joe,
man, they just never let up.
Oh no. This who needs? You might as well just speak Chinese.
No, this is all Orwellian.
Yeah. So Joe Biden really believes he's got a shot at this 2016 presidency.
You just think about it for a minute. You've watched Joe.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that he's run before. Did you ever think that he didn't think that he has a shot? Just from the way he carries himself.
No, in fact, I believe he thinks he's the president. Right now. Whenever Barack is overseas, Joe's walking around strutting his stuff. He does all the important meetings. And so someone said to Joe, hey Joe, I got an idea. You need to hop on this LGBTQIAAP bandwagon, baby. You gotta get on it. Because that's where the votes are. It's a gravy train. I know. Go speak at that human rights convention thing where all the people come out as gay and I'm sorry, LGBTQIAP, and say something really, really rowdy.
It's a lot of progress in a relatively short time after this fight's begun, but guess what? There's so much more to be done. Woo! My grandkids, my children, and their kids are going to be shocked. It shocks the conscience that at this very moment in American history, in some states, an employer can fire you just because of who you are or who you love. It's close to barbaric. I mean, think of
barbaric.
No, I really mean this.
I mean
Imagine 20 years from now, does America look back and say, how in the hell could that have ever been allowed? The country's moved on. The American people have moved on. It's time for the Congress to move on and pass ENDA. Pass ENDA now.
Give me a double ENDA. Give me a double ENDA, Joe. So what Joe is talking about is the ENDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, which the first time was introduced in 1994, 20 years ago. And this thing will never pass. It is a red herring, white elephant, whatever you want to call it, because if I were running a company, I wouldn't want this. There's plenty of non-discrimination civil rights laws on the books, but now someone could say, you fire me because I'm gay. I'm sorry, LGBTQIAP. No one in their right mind wants this, which is why it's never passed. And now Joe is pandering to the community. Pass ENDA.
This guy.
Pass ENDA. Come on. 1994, this thing, every single time they try it. And everyone's, it's the stupid Congress. This must be the Republicans.
It's the Republicans.
It's the Republicans.
Just blame them.
It's the Republicans who do it.
Those damn Republicans.
But if you have ever had a company, you don't want this. You do not want this.
No, the lawsuits are already out of control with the laws on the books already.
And this kind of brings me to, and this is really big here in Texas, this Hobby Lobby thing that is now at the Supreme Court. And I think it's important, regardless of where you might stand on the issue, it's important to understand the issue itself and to understand the language that is being used by politicians. And Cecile Richards, she runs Planned Parenthood. She really takes the cake. And I just wanted to see if I can explain it very simply. The Hobby Lobby is a private corporation. It's very successful. And it's like a trinket store. You buy stuff for your hobby, whatever you're pasting or doing.
It's like a Michaels?
I have no idea what a Michaels is.
It's like a Joann's?
Probably. And it's and they are.
You don't go to these places. You've never been to a hobby.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is Mickey always went to Hobby Lobby, and she stopped going. She said because they're denying women's health care. And I said, what? It's politically incorrect to say you shop at Hobby Lobby. And I said, and so let me just revisit and tell you, because she was, she's just hearing what's being said on NPR, and we need to bring up this topic here so people can at least understand what is going on here. So under the Affordable Care Act, this
is an extortion racket.
Well, it has multiple sides to it. Under the Affordable Care Act, they are providing all of their employees with health care. And there are 20 contraceptive methods and products that they are required to carry under the Affordable Care Act. 4 of them, so 16 they say, okay, no problem. 4 of them they disagree with, and they all fall, I think, under the kind of the Plan B category. And Plan B is a product which you can buy over the counter. It is the morning after pill, if you will. So if you think that you may have conceived, then you take this product.
Are you 486?
And it, what?
That's what it is.
Yeah, so if you think you may have conceived the next morning, and for, I think, 3 days, you take this pill, and it's a boost of hormones, and if there was any sperm meeting an egg, it all dissolves, which, by their standards, they feel that is a form of abortion. If you take into account that life begins at conception. Now that is the whole basis for what they are saying. We and they're a private company, not a public company. They're very religious. That's all. It's very well known that they run their corporation to biblical standards. They say it on their website. They say, hey, we should be able to not provide that. And the interesting thing about this is they're not saying you can't go out and buy it yourself. You can go and spend $30 or whatever. It maybe cost more, I have no idea, and get it yourself. It's not about your health care per se, but is it? That's really the question that is now before the Supreme Court. But here's how it is being discussed on television. So here's Cecile Richards, daughter of Ann Richards, who was the governor of the great state of Texas, the last Democratic governor. And just listen to the words she uses. She's from Planned Parenthood. And I disagree with the framing of the argument. I think the argument is an interesting one to have, but the words they use are bullshit.
And now they're taking this fight to a whole new level, arguing that corporations should be given a free pass to discriminate against women and deny them access to basic health care.
Now, a couple things with this statement. One, throughout American law, everywhere the word person or persons is used, it always includes corporations, groups, anything. So I don't understand why in this case it wouldn't. Because when Mitt Romney said corporations are people, my friend, he was telling the truth. Every single law we've looked at, if you look at the sanctions against Russia, it says persons, and it always stipulates persons are individuals, human beings, corporations, groups, anything that is a corporation in American law is a person. Basic health care, I have to say, basic health care in my book would include dental health care, which is really not a part of the Affordable Care Act. Here we are, and dental health care, if you have a crappy mouth, that can ruin the rest of your health. Yet no one complains about dental health care, ever. And it's not in Medicare. Medicare doesn't cover even the cost of dental health care. But yet now it's female reproductive basic health care, where there's 16 other contraceptive methods that are okay with this company.
If this sounds familiar, it's because these are the same insidious views we've heard from business owners in Arizona who wanted to refuse services to members of the LGBT community.
There you go. It's just like hating gays. That's what it is. No, Cecile Richards, no. No, it is nowhere near the same.
But if you open your doors to the general public, you don't get to pick and choose who you serve, just like a corporation shouldn't get to pick and choose which laws to follow. One other point that I think is very important, as a great...
By the way, they're taking this to the court, to the Supreme Court, because they object to the law. You're allowed to petition your government on that. They didn't say we're not following the law. They said they object to it.
Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan once said, "You're entitled to your own opinions. You're not entitled to your own facts."
Just throwing some science crap. The woman is off her rocker.
Major medical institution confirms that birth control prevents pregnancy from happening in the first place. It does not end pregnancy.
Well, yeah, but
stop you for a second. This is why you were doing that. I was doing a search. Took a random sentence from the New Yorker article with the headline, "Arizona's," and again, anti-gay bill lives on in Hobby Lobby. And that search for this sentence found the same exact article rewritten by the classic media outlets you'd expect. And I'm going to name a few of them. Besides the New Yorker, CNN had the same article. National Post has the same article with its headline, "Arizona passes bill letting people refuse service to gays." But it was about this. Gay rights activist in the LA Times, Chicago Tribune, America Blog. It's just a whole, here's an article that's the opposite, bitching about it, but it's using the same phrasing. Daily Beast. So what so this, she's winning this war in terms of the mainstream media.
Absolutely. And you can't, this is why this conversation is rarely held in a kind of an objective manner. And this is also a war on belief, a war on religion. Because obviously if you believe in anything, you're crazy. Unless, of course, you're Muslim. Then, that's all good. But I find validity in the argument. And I'm okay with the argument, with the people having the argument, but saying things like you're blocking access to healthcare is just not true.
Denying it.
It's denying it, because anyone can go out.
You're not denying it. You're just not giving them money for it.
And just not, for this one piece of it. And that's all. It's not like you can't have health care.
And the fact that the CEOs of these corporations wrongly believe that some birth control methods are a form of abortion is just further support for the fact that we're all better off when we leave medical decisions to a woman and her doctor, not her boss or politicians.
So
what she's saying, she's saying that if you work there, I guess it's for the employees, and you wanted to get an abortion, they'll tie you down and beat you or something? I mean, because they're denying you that possibility?
Well,
you can't do it? You can't do it if you work there because the contract you signed means you can't do it? No. What's she saying?
Yeah, that's what she's communicating. But
it's not true.
No. And to me, no, exactly. And I believe it's a war on religion, if anything. I think that's really what this is about. And it comes down to, as far as I understand it, Plan B is not seen, obviously, as an abortive product, but it is something you take after the fact. And contraception, do we have a definition of the word contraception? Shouldn't contraception at all times be used before coitus?
Yes, I would think, because I think means, I think that refers to
let's look at the definition.
If we broke the word down.
The deliberate use of artificial methods or other techniques to prevent pregnancy as a consequence of sexual intercourse. It doesn't really say you have to use it before. Deliberate prevention of conception or impregnation by any of various drugs. This is why we need smart people in dresses to figure it out for us, I guess.
Well,
it's hard. It's a hard one. Well, here's Senator Murray with her view.
But tell me why you feel so strongly, you and other members of the Senate Democratic Caucus and the Women's Caucus, that this part of Obamacare should be left intact for the women who need it.
Well, the question to me is very compelling. Should a private CEO, a corporation, or their shareholders' religious rights trump the right of employees?
And this is something she's saying here. The only shareholders are the owners. This is not a public company. It's a private company. And the shareholders are the family, the Green family, I think. So now she's making it look like big evil corporation when this is really an American success story.
And as someone who has been here,
artists.
think any great programmers are scientists. Any.
They're artists and writers. They're poets. They're musicians.
Many of them are math flunkouts.
Thank you. Things are about to get worse with the introduction of new science standards. And here it comes. The Next Generation Science Standards, commonly abbreviated as NSGS. Yes, everybody, the Next Generation Science Standards have just recently been finalized. When they ultimately get implemented, or when states implement their own version of them, it will serve to strengthen the concept of STEM and Common Core. And we have a video. Let's play video 1.
In today's ever-technologically advancing world, we are living at the speed of science. We need to educate our students to be scientifically literate, ready to ask questions, define problems, investigate, analyze data, construct explanations, and design solutions, ready to take on the future. The Next Generation Science Standards provide an important opportunity to improve not only science education, but also student achievement, reflecting a new vision for American science education, creating a context for learning, comprehending the core knowledge and ideas, and engaging in scientific and engineering practices helps to prepare students for broader understanding and deeper levels of scientific and engineering investigation later on in high school, college, and beyond. By states, for states. The Next Generation Science Standards were developed by a team of experts and stakeholders in science and engineering, K-12 and higher education, and industry, in an open, collaborative, state-led...
Do you hear this, what they're saying? And industry and stakeholders and, douchebags.
Process. The standards are internationally benchmarked against countries whose students perform well in math and science. Implementing improved K-12 science standards will better prepare high school graduates to succeed in college and careers, enabling employers to hire workers with strong science-based knowledge and skills, critical thinking, and inquiry-based problem solving. Educating students for the future. Educating students at the speed of science. The Next Generation Science Standards. For states, by states. Shut up already. It's science.
All right, hit it. Clip of the day.
No. Oh, I wasn't expecting that because I have more. But I'll take it. Thank you.
Clip of the day.
All right, so we also sent...
Before you go on.
I gotta go on. I got lots of...
No, I gotta say something.
All right.
This bullshit crap, and I'm looking at one of the websites, the nextgenerationscience.org.
Yeah, that's the one.
Kid there, he's looking at a Bunsen burner.
That's the Bunsen with goggles.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's looking at it with goggles on.
It's stock.
The Bunsen burner blows
it's
up.
Stock photography.
When I was a kid, they used to have, when I was a kid, you used to be able to buy a chemistry set. And you used to buy it at Montgomery Ward's. And these huge chemistry sets. And there was all kinds of stuff in there. You could blow up the house.
It had sulfur. You could create stink bombs.
You could do all kinds of things. It was astonishing. And there was different layers. You can get a cheap one, a little one, and you get a big giant one.
I had them.
Huge one.
I had them.
And you could have a lot of, those are all banned.
You could kill yourself with that if you drank it.
When I was a kid, when I was in high school, there was a chemistry class. And they would do all kinds of dangerous things in there. And you would do experiments and whatever. And there was a physics class. And there was all these, there was a civics class. There was all these, now they don't do it. They've dumbed down everybody. And now they're reintroducing science as something like you said, a religion of some sort. This is going to be, I can't believe this.
Well,
this is going to be terrible.
Well, it's getting better. Okay, from the Common Core Math Integration PDF, which is found on that website you're looking at. Page 1, science is a quantitative discipline. So it is important for educators to ensure that student science learning coheres well with their learning in mathematics. To achieve this alignment, the Next Generation Science Standards Development Team worked with the Common Core State Standard writing team to ensure the NGSS do not outpace or otherwise misalign to the grade-by-grade standards in the CCSSM.
Why?
Because it's all coordinated. It's all, and as it turns out...
They learn at different speeds, and they learn different things at different speeds.
No. The point is, if you do a whois on the nextgenerationsciencestandards.org website, you'll see it's owned by Achieve Inc. And Achieve Inc. are the Common Core people. And from that website...
When people are first introduced to the next generation science standards, they're stunned silence. And then there's squirming in the chair, and people start to get antsy, but in a positive way. And then people respond with, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. This is cool. This is great.
This is an unprecedented time in education in the United States.
Standards in themselves, the total document, the next generation, has the power to influence all of the components of the education system.
Let me see, normally we teach out of context. The biology teacher is teaching here, the mathematics teacher there, the English teacher over here. And then when it's time to synthesize, guess what? We aren't there.
The next generation standards are based upon research, current research on how students learn.
Science isn't just a mere bunch of facts. Science is about the way we think about the world, the way we question the world, the way we communicate about the world. And that piece alone, developing that is a huge piece of the new standards.
We're really looking at the next generation science standards to propel students into 21st century. So you're looking at college readiness, you're looking at career readiness. Why is now the time for the next generation science?
Come here, new Jugend! You will comply with your next generation standards! You will be nice to the robots! Sorry, it's Tourette's.
Standards, we're past the time for the next generation standards.
To be competitive globally, we need to prepare our students.
We have to have as a solid, firm foundation that framework for K-12 science education from the scientific community.
I'm one of the writing team members, and my job is to assist with the development of the standards, which is connected to the framework.
Minnesota is a lead state.
What does that even mean?
Who gives a shit? It sounds great.
As part of that, I've convened together groups. We have some groups that are working as reviewers of the standards.
Reviewers.
We have two other groups, one that's sort of dealing with communications with the business and industry side, also looking at what it would take to implement the standards in Minnesota. And then another group who is looking at communications mostly with educators and especially around the framework document.
Our standards need to be able to help our students face a world that we're not currently facing right now.
We're never going to reach perfection, I don't believe, because the world is changing. We need to continue evolving and changing with our ever-changing world.
When a teacher loves something,
Use the word change.
students are going to love it too.
Teachers have to be open-minded. They have to be willing to take a risk. They have to be willing to get messy. They're going to have to be willing to let the students lead a little.
This is it's a very hard thing. It's a very critical thing, but it's a very rewarding thing too.
It's awesome to see the kids working together and talking to each other and supporting what they think with evidence and things. And it is so major cool.
It's going to change the way that I teach, and it's scary, and yet at the same time it's exciting. I think it's going to reinvigorate my teaching.
I'm very excited to see that transition, that change to actually doing science.
Capital is the most prized resource that this nation possesses, and we can ill afford the luxury of not developing to its maximum capacity.
Fade out, fade to black. All right. Final piece on this from the frequently asked questions section of the Next Generation Science Standards website. Science, and therefore science education, is central to the lives of all Americans. I need echo. Hold on. 1, 2, 1, 2. Science, and therefore science education, is central to the lives of all Americans, preparing them to be informed citizens in a democracy and knowledgeable consumers. If the nation is to compete and lead in the global economy, and if American students are to be able to pursue expanding employment opportunities in science-related fields, all students must have a solid K-12 science education that prepares them for college and careers. Informed and knowledgeable consumers. Of what? Carbon credits? I know you're
knowledgeable and informed consumers.
Informed citizens and knowledgeable consumers.
Wow, the fact that they put that consumers thing in there
Yeah,
which is kind of showing the public as just a bunch of mindless buyers of crap.
Yeah, green crap.
Including crap ideas, I might add. Buying crap doesn't mean physical things necessarily.
Yeah.
You buy the argument about this or that.
Yeah.
We'll say global warming in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Craig Barrett, front and facing letter on the achieve.org website. Craig Barrett, former CEO and chairman of the board at Intel, during an era where they didn't do that well, has been a strong advocate for improving education, serving the National Governors Association, etc., etc. He writes a letter in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and he says the following in his first paragraph. It seems the Common Core state standards detractors follow Lenin's maxim that a lie told often enough becomes the truth.
We are now communists.
Commie
denier.
They're
Putinist.
Recent foray. They're midst. What is this? MDST is what it says.
In their
okay,
midst,
it was a typo here.
In the midst.
Recent foray into trying to take down the effort, spearheaded by the nation's governors and chief state school officers to outline what all students should know and be able to do in reading and math, leaves us with no choice but to roll up our sleeves and yet again set the record straight. And then he goes on. Yeah, Lenin.
Yeah,
I think, if you're going to take that argument, it's the whole thing, what you point out is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You point somebody and say, oh, that guy's a douchebag, and you're the douchebag.
Right.
Well, this is what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're telling a lie often enough so it becomes the truth.
And if you look at the NSTA, the National Science Teachers Association, who of course are a part of this, they have competitions. And I have a list of the current competitions that you can participate in with your class. We have the Shell Science Lab Challenge.
From Shell Oil?
Yes.
Okay.
Sponsored by Shell Oil Company, administered by NSTA, encourages teachers, grades 6 through 12 in the U.S. and Canada, who have found innovative ways to deliver quality lab experiences with limited school and laboratory resources with cash prizes up to $93,000. Then we have America's Home Energy Education Challenge, which is brought to you by the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Then we have the DuPont Challenge, brought to you by the DuPont Chemical Company. Then we have the Toshiba Exploravision Challenge. Come on, people. Don't you see that the
This is looking like a NASCAR race where the guy comes out of his car with all these patches all over. This is going to be like.
Yeah, kids are going to go to school with their NASCAR outfits, their uniforms with Shell and Toshiba and DuPont all over it.
Yeah.
So here's kind of the downside. This is from our knight, Sir Borislav Marinov. He sent an email. He said it was okay to share with you on the show. 2 days ago, after No Agenda Show 600, one of my third graders, No Agenda Knight Sir Simeon, came home almost crying and asked me the question whether we, the people, are killing the Earth through global warming. I thought I had more time to prepare them for this subject, but I was surprised it came so soon. By my calculations, they were only going to study climate as part of geography classes in 5th grade. I asked, why did they discuss that subject? Turns out it was part of their Scholastics reading and comprehension test, exactly what we said Common Core would be doing. They had to read a government propaganda text and answer a multiple choice question. They did not remember the answers, but they had to pick which answer is wrong. 3 of the answers were how bad global warming is, and the 4th answer they had to select, as the only one that is not true, was something like the chill spells are on the rise. There was no answer like all of the above is fiction or wrong. I immediately showed them John Coleman's YouTube video, How the Global Warming Scare Began. The next day, my wife was wondering why Sir Yasin is not getting out of school. She found him preaching to a classmate how global warming is a scam and why you don't vote on science. Thanks for helping me keep the government propaganda away from my kids. Troublemakers is what they are. Troublemakers now. We've created a new class of troublemakers.
Yeah, we're going to get in trouble for doing this.
Commies, I'm telling you. They're commies. Your kids are commies.
Luckily, the commie thing doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Well, you could be like
although Craig Barrett, an old guy, and hey, Lenin, I would recommend people go out and read Lenin. He's actually kind of boring, but the more interesting writers are Marx. Marx is a really good writer.
He was a columnist.
People don't realize he was writing in the 1850s.
He was a columnist. He was like a
columnist, and so was his buddy Engels, who was the real. If you read these guys, Engels, in fact, was the. And you can get a lot of these books from the Gutenberg Project and put them on your Kindle.
Yeah.
Engels was he was the communist per se. He was the guy who liked the idea of collective this and that and the other thing. And he was the troublemaker of the two.
I'm sorry. I have to stop you. You can't say this, the, that, and the other thing. That's not acceptable.
Okay. So Engels was the guy who really kind of invented what became Marxism. And I just think it's hilarious because of the irony. It should be Engelism.
Yeah, correct.
But meanwhile, this guy, he got usurped just because Marxism sounds better.
Engels really influenced Marx, and Marx wrote about it in his column.
Yeah. Engels was the real radical, crazy guy. And but he's a very good writer too. And I would recommend getting some of these old books and just reading them. They're very entertaining. They're interesting, and the ideas are not being discussed anymore. And there are actually valid ideas that are thrown about. And luckily, because the communist thing has been pulled back so far, now I think people can actually go read some of this material. One of the really great books you should read is the Civil War book by Marx and Engels. It talks about aspects of the Civil War that very few people understood at the time, or even bring into the conversation as why, for example, the South, when they decided to attack the North to start the war by bombing Fort Sumter, and create a government of their own, it was really only the slave owners, like about 330,000 people total, a minority of the public at the time in the South. Not everybody owned slaves, only a few did. And these are the guys who made the war happen against the will of the public at large. Nobody wanted this war. And then, of course, these same guys sent the guys who would have voted no into the war to get killed. And this is, again, the elites, pushing the public around.
All right, you have to stop. Stop making sense. You can't make sense like that. You can't advocate for history like that.
Well,
you can't advocate reading books.
If I turned it into science, would that help?
Yeah, that might work.
Anyway, you have to read some of this material, and then you can check it out for yourself or do whatever. But these writers back in the day are worth listening to, worth reading, and then luckily I think it's now acceptable. And I think Barrett bringing up a Lenin thing, I mean, come on. Anyway, that's my little spiel on getting out more.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Are we doing a club today? Or is it?
No, because I was waiting for somebody to come in with $111.11, and nobody did.
We have a whole list.
We'll do the club on Sunday. I
promise.
I'm not prepared.
But we're just opening illegally, right? It's just we're doing it without permission.
It's going to have to be like a rave, or what do you call it when people all show up at once? You text
flash mob.
Flash mob. Let's do a flash mob.
A flash mob at Club 33.
And then we can tell the police after they say we didn't know anything about this. We're against it.
But do we all have to dance to the Black Eyed Peas, or can we just watch the girls dance?
No, you can do whatever you want. Javier, that's what I'm trying to say.
Can I tell you my theory about Javier?
Javier Vasquez, this guy in San Diego?
No, but
name?
Every single Mexican I know in Austin, male Mexican, his name is Javier.
Why?
Because I think there's one guy with a passport, and his name is Javier, and they're all on his passport.
Yeah, okay, that's going to go over. That's a good one. $100. The last shows have been outstanding, and we call this the 600 series, and the shows have been outstanding, one after another.
Oh, a 600 series. I like that.
Yeah, it's a 600 series. There's only going to be 100 shows in this series.
By the way, I seriously felt the love in my heart when Adam prayed a few shows ago. Your work is always inspiring. See, that was when I prayed for Hillary Clinton to become president. Yeah. I do it every night. I do. I'm not kidding.
Money in the bank for no agenda.
You can take that to the bank.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, so far, everything points to Hillary.
I see doubt. I see doubt in my bot friends.
Oh, I know. This is bothersome.
Why is that? Why do they have doubt?
I think I think nobody trusts Hillary.
I think that they're like, yeah, woman. Hillary, crap. Because I always remind them that she'll shoot you in the face if she disagrees, you know. You don't do what she says. But I see doubt. I see doubt. Do you really think she's going to? Yes.
I think she's, the bots all sense that she's a little nutty.
That's why we need, well, I'm sorry. I'm not bringing it up.
Kristen Smith, $70 in Blyton, Lincolnshire. Sorry, it's late this month. Not only is my daughter listening, but now my 12-year-old son, James, is listening too. Thank you for your courage.
Right on.
69, dudes! Good group of 69ers. Ronald Cedeno in Riverview, Florida, 6969. Ray Hoskins in Yorba Linda, California. Long note. Brian Lanning in Grand Blanc, Michigan. He comes in quite often. Mark Kedrowski in Hugo, Minnesota Nuts. Michelle Cartmel in West Bank, BC. We had a lot of BCers in today.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm just reading Mark's note.
Yeah?
Long-time listener, but my first donation was approximately a month ago. I need a de-douching. Also, I was in a plane crash 3.5 years ago. Almost died. 24 plus surgeries to date. Almost died. Yada, yada. Point is, I listened to you with... Why are these notes cutting off? Is that cutting off for you, too?
That one cut off, and it's probably PayPal or something, or he did something.
Let me just give him a de-douche. Plane crash.
You've been de-douched.
Crazy.
Michelle Cartmel in West Bank, BC. I said her already, but said her again. Martin. I don't know what that.
Martin.
Pilt?
Let me see. What, is it a...
There's a lot. Here's what it's for people out there wondering why we can't read this. Here's what it says on the spreadsheet: P-I up arrow T.
Well, it's like an L with a accent circumflex.
That could be.
It's not Dutch.
It looks like an up arrow. 69, and he's in Den Haag. The Hague. He's in the Hague.
That's right.
69, dudes! He has a good story. He says, and he talks about what you talked about. We're in lockdown in The Hague because of the nuclear security summit bullshit. I've been a long-time boner and don't deserve to be de-douched yet. However, I would call out my friend Ron Bun as a douchebag. Douchebag! What a name. How do you have? Is that a Dutch name? Bun?
No, I think that's probably a nickname.
Donate, you mofo. Please mention my street photography site. This is thehague.com. Anyway.
He wants George Clooney as a spy, 2 to the head? Hey, yeah.
George Clooney is a spy.
We'll give him karma at the end with everyone else. Oh, you gave him karma.
Well, I'll give it. I can't stop it. Karma's unstoppable.
You've got karma.
Sorry, it just slipped out. The karma flooped out. I'm sorry.
Carolina Garcia sent in $60, and then she sent in another $60.
Oh, there you go.
In the same envelope. This was mailed in. She wants to say, I want to say thank you because your karma works wonderfully. On my first donation, I asked for karma for the show. So you guys, that by the way, I'm having trouble reading. She writes in a neat block letter. It's very neat, but
nice.
It's all the same X height.
Did you hear this conversation that was going on NPR about Common Core standards no longer requiring cursive?
I thought they didn't no I didn't hear that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Just mentioning.
That's the way everyone looks like. They're right, like 2-year-olds. On my first donation, I asked for karma. You guys gave me some. I can have more donations. Oh, so I gave karma for the show so you guys can have more donations. To my surprise, that same week, I received news of a raise I was not counting on, especially since there's been rumors of our company wasn't doing so well. So they say, I completely attribute this good fortune to the show's karma. Therefore, I will continue donating to the No Agenda Show for every paycheck I receive from the day the raise kicks in, until I either lose my job or the show ends. I will try my very best to make this happen. What, she wants the show to end? I don't think so.
No.
Oh, I see.
No.
Oh, I misinterpreted. No. Also, I'm sorry I was not able to donate to show 600. Anyway, she goes on and does say she's going to go for damehood.
Nice.
All right. Anyway, there was 2 checks, so it's very unusual. Dan Whitecheck in Beech Grove, Indiana, 55 double nickels on the dime, and this is always 1 double nickels on the dime every show. Isn't that weird?
I love
it. Used to be so popular. Kevin Payne's, 5069, Richmond, Virginia. Patricia Worthington, $50, Miami, Florida. And these are all $50 donors. James Bosworth in West Jordan, Utah. Peter Totes, commonly $50. James Thomason in Cherryvale, Kansas. Shad Rich and Dobendigo in Seattle, Washington. Marcus Kazmarek in Kenai, Alaska. And Dame Tanya Wayman, who did send us a note, and what did I do with Dame Tanya's note? It's just a short note. She's in the morning, and she's, of course, our famous dame from New York City. She wants karma, a shout-out for the producers, and all she can afford to donate now. Anyway, that's all it says.
I wanted to read James Bosworth's note for a moment.
Okay.
Since this is a short donation segment today. Hi, guys. My first donation to the cause. I was hit in the mouth a few months ago, and I've listened religiously ever since. This may not be a huge donation, but there's more to come. By the way, my wife has a crush on Adam.
Oh, that's why you want to read this.
Exactly. Going back to his MTV days. She loves listening with me and would totally flip if Adam could give a shout-out to the lovely Sharon Bosworth. Send me a picture, James. Please. Or, Sharon, send one yourself.
And he wants a Putin for himself. All right,
he wants a Putin. Well, how rude is that? If you want a Putin, you real loving couples Putin together. Putin! Here's karma for everybody. Thank you very much for your donations.
You've got karma.
And of course, thanks to everyone who came in under $50 for anonymity purposes or your monthlies. These are really, 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 really helpful. Keep that up, please. We really do appreciate
we hope things go a little better.
Yeah, it could be
on Sunday.
We don't mind a longer donation segment for Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday.
Oh, well, it's only one, apparently. Vic Ogburn says happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Blair. She turned 33 yesterday. Remember to send that picture to adam@curry.com. Happy birthday! I know, I'm sleazy, but I can't help it.
You are sleazy.
I am. I don't know what it is. I like it.
This picture thing.
You know what it is? It's everyone.
Like you run into.
Here's what it is. Everybody's doing mirror selfies. You know, if you look at what's that? The
bathroom mirror.
Chive.com.
Correct. Bathroom mirror.
Bathroom mirror. Yeah. So do one for me. Yeah. Why not? If you're doing it anyway, do one for me. Come on. I'm an old guy now. It's like it makes me.
Hey, when I'm old enough, I'll be lifting the skirts with my cane.
Let me just write that down. That was 213.
It's a good one. I think the one you did with the echo is better. That's what
Nah. Hey.
And let me read a note from one of our producers, Andrew Kelly, who's a high schooler. And this is kind of the opposite of the Common Core stuff, which is also annoying. I heard your discussion on previous shows about how ridiculous it is that every sports game this is a pet peeve of mine, or a major event we have must parade our troops around and onto the United States by singing the national anthem and so on. Hey, Kyle. I thought this might be interesting to mention on the show that my high school's economics and government textbooks both have the first and second page dedicated to flag etiquette.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they sent a picture.
The American's Creed, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Star-Spangled Banner. I see no point and including these in an economics textbook.
We are becoming Nazi Germany. Face it. Don't people see this?
The other day in class, we had a discussion on existentialism. And I did what any good No Agenda listener should do and started talking sense into everybody about the government.
Oh, no. Oh, this is not good.
Some girl sitting next to me spouted out, quote, "Wait, but isn't the government good for us?" I just laughed and shook my head. It's a sad state of affairs here in high school world, and I call on all high schoolers to revolt and not accept this nonsense. There you go.
Well, that flows nicely into a couple clips I got here. I have purchased the book. I have started to read it, but obviously I only heard about it last night. Our friend Cass Sunstein has come out with a new book about conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. Yes. And he's doing, now Cass Sunstein is married to Samantha Power. Samantha or Samantha Power?
Samantha.
Who is Sam Power. Sam Power.
Sam.
Who always has her blouse uncomfortably low unbuttoned at her. That's just was weird. She is now the UN ambassador, the United States ambassador to the United Nations.
She still looks like a Berkeley hippie, the way she carries herself, the clothes she wears, and the hair.
Well, Cass Sunstein has no hair, and he is the guy who has forgotten because he has been asked by, I think, change.org. No, it was one of these, the Rutowski guy. Said, hey, do you remember that paper you wrote about infiltrating online communities to spread disinformation? He doesn't really remember that anymore. I can't. I've written so many things.
He doesn't really remember.
He doesn't remember.
I did that. I wrote that. I don't remember.
Even my friend John C. Dvorak remembers columns from 20 years ago. But no. So he's on the Alex Wagner show. I like this Alex Wagner. Although she's on MSNBC, so I'm the only one watching.
Yeah, you and her boyfriend.
No, I think she's lesbian.
Her boyfriend, girlfriend. Okay.
Let me see. Alex Wagner. Wasn't she in that selfie with that gay and lesbian? I'm sorry. LGBTQI. Yes, apparently she is.
She's a lesbian?
Yeah. Well, she's L.
She's L. She's L in that list of letters.
Yes, she's L in the list. Here is the setup to her interview with Cass Sunstein.
The plane is hidden under an invisibility cloak with high-tech electronic weapon systems. Or it is secretly hiding in North Korea. Or, in the expert opinion of one Malaysian shaman, it has been hijacked by elves and is suspended in midair. Or, according to one of the most powerful media moguls on Earth, a man named Rupert Murdoch, world seems transfixed by 777 disappearance, maybe no crash but stolen, effectively hidden, perhaps in northern Pakistan, like bin Laden. Those are just some of the multitudes of conspiracy theories regarding the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370.
I'd like to point out all of these propagated by the mainstream media.
Yes, and by the way, let's get something else straight. If you're going to use the word conspiracy, why don't you define it?
You don't have to say anything. That's on its way.
Evidence would seem to point in a direction other than Pakistan or elves. Changing the mind of conspiracy theorists is often very hard to do, as with the birthers who deny President Obama's citizenship, or the truthers who perpetuate the theory that the United States orchestrated the attacks on September 11th. These kinds of theories are unusually resistant to correction. As legal scholar and former Obama administration official Cass Sunstein writes in his new book, Conspiracy Theories and Other Dangerous Ideas, conspiracy theorists believe that the agents of the conspiracy have unusual powers, so that apparently contrary evidence can be seen as a product of the conspiracy itself.
I have unusual powers. Unusual powers.
You get people to send you photos.
Not many, but my powers sometimes do work. All right. So this is a very interesting interview. Because, of course, why is this guy writing this book? I believe he has many agendas, this Cass.
Oh, yeah.
And this Cass.
Absolutely.
And he's not just a former Obama administrative shill. He's in it. He still is in all the panels.
Yeah, he's in the game.
Yeah, he's in the game. Now, this is just a little thing he mentions here, which I'm blown away by the fact that he compares the Malaysian airplane disappearance to this.
It feels like there's more of this out there than there has been.
I think we're seeing a lot of it, and there are a couple of reasons. One is in a time of economic difficulty or in a time when things are going wrong. And
the hookers start looking better? Is that what he's going to say? No.
Very visible ways, like with the plane, for example, and the tragic events in Benghazi. People try to seize on something awful.
Now, why does he do that?
Why does he toss Benghazi in?
Yeah. Benghazi, the only people...
He's obviously in on that, too.
Yes, because the only people who have an alternative theory about Benghazi is you and I. Everyone else is just saying, oh, they knew. That's not really a conspiracy to the level that we take it.
I believe that you and I, and our thesis, which I believe to be the accurate one, was also discussed by one ex-military.
Yes, no, you're right. You're correct. An ex-general.
Somebody else came up with it.
An ex-general.
And the rest of them, I believe, have the same thesis, but they haven't got the guts to blow the thesis out, because then they'll be labeled as nutballs. So they just keep hinting about it.
Exactly. Conspiracy theorists.
Right.
So you said we need to define conspiracy theorists. And the word conspiracy comes from conspire, which means breathing together, conspira.
And let me just say one thing quickly, as you do the definition. A conspiracy requires a bunch of people conspiring.
Yes.
If I come off the blue, what are we conspiring against? If you come up with the idea, I think. Well, anyway.
No, I think it's the other way around. You can have a theory that other people conspired to do something. Okay. That is a true conspiracy. Okay. It is, but you're right. It has been turned around to somehow mean that the conspiracy, the people conspiring, are the nut jobs who have the theory.
Yeah, because you're the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, but that is incorrect.
The definition has been altered, it seems.
Well, Cass Sunstein is actually going to say something correct here, but he blew me away. Well, you'll hear it.
How do you delineate what is a conspiracy theory and what is folklore or myth?
Well, I think we'd want to distinguish between true conspiracy theories, like the theory that something malevolent was happening at Watergate.
Okay. So you can have a true conspiracy theory.
Interesting.
Yes, I found that to be very interesting.
That's one category. Then there's another set of things which aren't really conspiracy theories, but are more like games or fictions or made-up fun. I think Santa Claus actually has some of the characteristics of a conspiracy theory.
Here we go. This is how you say, oh, that's that's like Santa Claus.
In the sense that parents work together to propagate. I hope there aren't children watching.
We hope nobody who believes.
Don't worry, there's no children watching MSNBC. No worries.
Santa Claus is watching this. We should have a banner.
Well, maybe it's true. So parents do actually work together to spread something for fun. It's not something that we should worry over. And the Tooth Fairy the same. And the Santa Claus idea also has the idea that there's a mysterious group of elves working together in a kind of secluded location doing stuff that magically appears on Christmas Eve. So I wouldn't want the idea of conspiracy theory necessarily to have a negative connotation. It might accurately describe something that's true and that it's important to get out there and put a spotlight on. And it might actually capture some stuff which isn't awful, which is part of fun and things parents do or things families do.
Interesting, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's that's borderline clip of the day. You give two of them out.
No, I can't accept.
I now have to read this book because this guy doesn't do anything without without a motivation that's hidden. Agenda. He's Mr. Hidden Agenda.
Yeah, hidden agenda show.
He's the hidden agenda guy.
I think he kind of slips up and explains what his agenda is in this final clip I have.
In your expert opinion, what is the best way to shatter a theory that has no basis in it?
Okay, what is your best way? So this is how do you shatter the crazy conspiracy theories. That is what he's going to say here. How do we do this?
In your expert opinion, what is the best way to shatter a theory that has no basis in reality?
There are two things that tend to work, or that at least have a probability of working. One is if you can appeal in a way that affirms the basic beliefs or commitments of the people who believe in the conspiracy.
Did you hear that?
I did, but I'm not seeing how that shatters anything unless there's some sort of a jujitsu move going on here.
Yeah, here.
So that at a level of abstraction, they may believe something that everyone believes, like wrongdoing should be punished or something. And if you appeal to them, that can work.
Okay. So you need to it's psychological tactics. So you appeal to them. To the crazies, you appeal to them with something that is generally accepted, and then you so you hook them, and then you kind of move them away. And how do you do that? Here's his true agenda.
Also, if you can get people who are allied with them in one or another respect, that in the sense that they are kind of credible in a group of people who find most people incredible, then that can work to debunk a conspiracy theory.
Aha!
Didn't give us the mechanics of this, though.
Well, he's talking about shills.
Yeah, he is talking about shills.
So if you hear me start saying, yeah, at Benghazi, that was just a video, a crazy Muslim video, then you'll know that I've been had.
Yeah, well, I'm not expecting that anytime soon.
Or maybe, if guys who sell seeds yell really loudly, maybe they're shills.
You think?
So this book is something we need to read.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I'll get a Kindle version. I don't really feel like collecting it unless I can get an autographed copy. Ooh, I'll go to the publisher and get an autographed copy.
Yeah, well, I already bought the Kindle version. I've only just started. I didn't have time. I was getting show prep.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do it. Well, maybe you should read it for me. I want to just revisit the Ukrainian situation for a second.
Sure.
Because PBS still has Margaret Warner in Ukraine giving reports, and I think she's given up. She'd rather be in Paris, or she was in Paris for a while. Then they moved her. She's the woman on PBS that used to be an anchor, and she's just not quite.
Now, what's her name again?
Margaret Warner. She's the kind of middle-aged looking younger woman.
Let's see, is she hot? No.
Her eyes are too close together for her to be.
No.
But she's a very good reporter, and I like her.
Yes.
And you can tell she's getting sick of this gig.
She looks a little Feinstein-esque.
A little bit. Yeah, she does, actually. She looks very Feinstein-esque, which is not a positive thing.
It's not generally accepted as good.
So I've decided, or by listening to her, I figured that she's just decided to turn this into a comedy because she needs to be pulled from Ukraine. And so she's given her, so some of her reports in the first clip is PBS and Ukraine comedy. Some of her reports are a little weird.
We do now. We know what we're fighting for.
Dmitry Chesnikov, who keeps guard at night, says he just wants peace and calm. But when talk turns to Russia's invasion and annexation of Crimea, his mood swiftly turns.
I want the death for them. For the Russians too. I want to take them just what they happened in Chechnya. I want to kill them. Really.
Now, with Crimea gone, the Kyiv government faces a new security threat, a large Russian force massed on Ukraine's eastern border, which former Minister of Defense Anatoly Gritsenko sees in the most menacing terms.
We all must understand, Putin equal Hitler. He is crazy. If that person, Mr. Putin, is crazy, then we could expect everything, anytime.
Hitler.
Putin equals Hitler.
Putin, Hitler. Putin, Hitler. We need a clip with it. It's like
Putin!
Hitler. I'm sorry. This is going too. Did she produce this herself? Do you think?
She's got this guy that can barely speak. I want them all dead. So she's pulling men off the street that are just crazy.
Putin, Hitler. Putin, Hitler.
So here's
That's
the part
great.
2 of the comedy, which is it just never ends.
Says Ukraine's military is irretrievably outmatched by the honed Russian force that took Crimea.
They moved swiftly with overwhelming force to defeat the Ukrainians. There's no military answer to that. Short term, there's nothing that we can do in terms of military involvement or military assistance that's going to change the basic realities of geography and the balance of power between Ukraine and Russia.
What the U.S. can do for Ukraine, says Payet, is help it with long-term economic development, and he sees great promise there.
You've got a border with 4 EU member states. You've got fabulous human resources, agricultural resources, shale gas. What Ukraine has suffered from is bad governance. And this revolution of dignity is an opportunity to correct that.
Yeah, we need to show them how to do that, right? You don't know how to do that. You can't let your citizens have any say. We've got to show you how to enslave them.
Have you heard? Doesn't ring a bell with me.
Which term?
The revolution of dignity.
No.
Yeah, he dropped that little bomb at the end, this guy. He's a State Department guy.
That's interesting. Have you Googled it?
I just heard it.
Let me just listen to that again. It's at the very end, right? That was a pretty good one, actually.
Shale gas. What Ukraine has suffered from is bad governance. And this revolution of dignity is an opportunity to correct that.
Huh. Revolution of dignity. I need to...
Yeah, and it shows up as a film by ICTV, documentary, Revolution of Dignity. And it also has Dignified Revolution. I know in Ukraine, a revolution with dignity. It showed up in the Detroit News.
Well, but it's a documentary. It's not a film. It's a documentary.
Yes, a documentary. And there's the Tunisia dossier has the Tunisian Revolution of Dignity, which is where they stole it from. Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity showed up in the Diplomatic Courier. Spain had a March for Dignity. So this is new. This is not a common usage, but I think it's a meme that it may crop up because it just out of the blue shows up in this report.
Okay, state or quality of being worthy of honor and respect is the definition of dignity. Dignity. Yeah, I like it. Revolution of dignity. Because, it's not about democracy. It's about dignity. Equality. It's all these words. Equality. Dignity. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a third clip you can play. This is about the Svoboda Party, which we don't talk about much, but this is the right-wingers.
Yeah, that's the thugs. The neo-Nazis that John McCain was hanging out with.
Yeah, the thugs from the Ukraine.
Yeah, John McCain, and he had 8 suitcases. And 7 of them were left with those guys. They were filled with, I don't know.
Among that motley coalition now holding key ministries, one faction has caused alarm in Russian-dominated eastern Ukraine and in Europe, the right-wing nationalist Svoboda Party. Its parliamentary leader, Oleg Tyaghnobuk, was once quoted boasting that Ukrainians fought bravely in World War II against Muscovites, Germans, Jews, and other scum.
Do you disavow that now?
That is what I said. But my 10-year-old words are being twisted by those who profit from it. This is also Russian propaganda. We are neither fascists nor Nazis. These are nothing but insinuations.
What's Svoboda's agenda now?
It's very important for us to conduct honest, transparent, fair elections for president. It's very important for us to renew people's trust in government.
That election in just 8 weeks holds promise for editor Gorchinskaya, too. But she isn't sure how long Ukraine...
I didn't end the clip properly.
Oh, it was almost over.
Anyway, yeah, this douchebag, he says, they quoting me, but it's propaganda. What does that even mean? How is it propaganda? Yeah, I said that, but it's propaganda.
The way I said it
is Russian propaganda.
Yeah, Putin, Hitler! Do these people not know Goodwin's Law? Do they not know? Is it Goodwin or Godwin?
Godwin. Mike Godwin. I guess they don't.
But everyone's doing this. The whole State Department is doing this.
Putin is Hitler.
Putin is Hitler. Putin equals Hitler.
And I think they're the ones who dreamed up those posters that have Putin with a Hitler mustache. Which, by the way, is what any good what am I thinking of?
I don't know. I think you should
any good 12-year-old would know how to do that mustache because you used to put them on everything.
Stop while you're ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, I just want to finalize with one thing. And this is the FISA Transparency and Modernization Act of 2014. This is what has been announced. We have Mike Rogers doing big stand-ups with Dutch Rapid cheeseburger. Everyone's talking about, oh no, it's all going to be great. Where the president doesn't want
Rogers.
No more bulk data collection. So I, of course, as a true government legislation analyst, go looking for the full text of the FISA Transparency and Modernization Act of 2014. Well, you would. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not available, and it won't be available for some time.
Following up on that, though, is there a timeline in which you're hoping to finish this by the election, by the summer, is there?
I think it's going to take on a natural rhythm about how we get this done. We have other issues to deal with. And just in conversations with members, some members want to look at this and try to make a decision about where they want to be, and they wanted to find a balance. Our instructions when we originally sat down and said, all right, we're going to work this thing out, was let's find the balance. And there was a long, hard slog, but I think we got there. So it'll take on its own natural run. We have, others, national security bills will be on the floor, other issues from energy and commerce and other committees that will have to deal with these issues. So we felt it was important to put something on the table that people could say, that's exactly what we're looking for, build a coalition and get it done. So we're not going to say a timeline between now and June or July or August.
Oh.
We don't know. We think that the more people that understand what we've done and what it looks like, the more support we're going to get for it moving forward.
This is bull crap. They're just standing there saying, oh, we're going to get something done by August. By August.
How can you play that guy's clip without playing douchebag right afterwards?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Douchebag. Bullshit.
I do know this based upon an excerpt posted on Mike Rogers' Senate website. This will all be based on RAS, the RAS test. And the RAS test is nothing new. A RAS stands for Reasonable Articulable Suspicion. It is a standard. And it actually is a standard that is deemed lower than probable cause. In fact, the RAS test, as defined by Maryland's courts, as less than probable cause, significantly less than preponderance of the evidence, is typically used for traffic stops. So they're pretending. Yeah, they're pretending that in the New York Times, everyone's how can the New York Times say there's going to be an end to anything when there is no text available? There is no text available. And how does this play into Executive Order 12333, huh? No. And then Snowden says he welcomes Obama's plans for NSA reform. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Oh, no. Who is this guy? And what have you done with the original Snowden? What have you done with the real Snowden?
There's a couple of Snowden things going on. I mean, it's like Snowden's being used as a ping pong. But my favorite clip, I picked this up for Democracy Now!, where Rogers goes after Snowden, which is the Snowden clip. And then, of course, this is on Democracy Now!, so Amy Goodman actually makes a good comment afterwards.
No counterintelligence official in the United States does not believe that Mr. Snowden, the NSA contractor, is not under the influence of Russian intelligence services. We believe he is. I certainly believe he is today. I do believe there's more to this story. He is under the influence of Russian intelligence officials today. He's actually supporting, in an odd way, this very activity of brazen brutality and expansionism of Russia. He needs to understand that. And I think Americans need to understand that. We need to put it in proper context.
Congressmember Rogers has yet to offer any evidence to back up his claims that Snowden spied for Moscow. Snowden remains in Russia after failing to win asylum in several other countries.
Yeah, he's clearly responsible for Crimea.
That's what he was hinting.
Yeah. Now this
guy is the worst.
Yeah.
How do the people up there that have him as their congressman, how do they live with themselves with this guy?
I think he's senator, isn't he? Isn't he a senator?
No. Feinstein's the senator of the Senate committee. He's the head of the congressional oversight.
What is interesting about this particular bill that has no number yet, as far as I can tell, I know it's going to be called the FISA Transparency and Modernization Act, which would probably mean non-transparency and non-modernization act. It's actually interesting because this will be going to not to the Judicial Committee, but to the House Intelligence Committee, which is a different path. So this
because it's going to be a secret.
Yeah, that is basically it. Along with with all this bull crap, we finally got a release of information about the president's meeting with senior members of his team and executives from several leading U.S. tech companies. Tech! It's tech! It's just tech like math is tech. Pisses me off. As part of a continuing dialogue with the private sector, civil society, and others on issues surrounding intelligence, technology, and privacy. The president used this opportunity to update the CEOs on progress in implementing the principles and reforms he announced on January 17th, including the new presidential directive.
Smoking cohibas.
And drinking cognac. We know who was there now. That's really what I want to get to. The people in the meeting. Okay. Reed Hastings.
Ooh, yes.
Co-founder and CEO of Netflix. Drew Houston, founder and CEO of Dropbox. Dr. Alexander Karp, founder and CEO of Palantir. Ooh, that's the big government search system. Aaron Levy of Box. Eric Schmidt of the Googles. Mark Zuckerberg. And that's it. And from no Microsoft, no Apple, from the administration, commerce.
No, wait a minute. That's a terrible skewed group.
Well, I would say I would question putting anything in Dropbox or Box.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say do BitTorrent Sync is probably better.
Twitter wasn't in the meeting.
Twitter, they are the administration.
Yeah, I guess.
Hashtag, what was it? United for Ukraine.
Ukraine sucks.
Yeah, it's just hashtag.
United for Ukraine.
Crane tag United. Pritzker was in there. Of course, Valerie Jarrett. John Podesta. Lisa Monaco. She's the national counterterrorism. Jeff Zients.
That little twerp that was the UN ambassador, and she's supposedly in the White House now. What happened to her?
Yeah,
she wasn't in the meeting. Susan Rice.
She was. I did see her at the NSS, the National Security Summit. She was not in the meeting.
That's odd.
She was probably drinking with the Secret Service guys, getting them all liquored up and ready for the party.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, all I got left is one kind of a local clip, which I just thought was amusing because it was kind of a shut up slaves. If you're coming to our new stadium, you have to follow new rules.
Sorry, I've been pretty good so far this show, but this was slow.
Clarence City Council approved new laws for people going to games at the new 49ers Stadium.
Joe Vasquez has the list of don'ts.
Once the new 49ers Stadium is built, don't expect to treat it like the old one. This sort of thing, throwing a football in the parking lot, will be forbidden. Maybe they're worried it'll turn out like that commercial.
Which is why at Liberty Mutual Insurance, auto
one big explosive mess. Among the other items specifically forbidden, no kegs or flasks, no bugles, air horns, or other musical instruments, no fish or reptiles, and by the way, no weapons.
A lot of these rules are just common sense, but if we don't have rules that are listed in the municipal codes, then we can't enforce them. We just want the ability to be able to control some of the behavior out at the park.
And perhaps the most challenging law of all, no spilling.
No spilling the chili from your chili dog. No spilling your nachos. And especially no spilling the beer.
Hey, wait a minute. Can you have a kazoo?
No, you cannot have a kazoo. It's a musical instrument. It's a band.
Is a kazoo a musical instrument, or is it just a...
It's a musical instrument.
Really?
It plays songs.
Can I sing? Can I sing a song, or is that using my voice as a musical instrument?
Oh, that's a good point. I think that's a kind of a gray area.
I am surprised.
And what about the spilling?
Yeah.
So you're walking along with a chili dog and you trip and you drop the damn thing. What are they going to do, arrest you?
That's right. Don't spill and pledge allegiance and salute the troops. I'm surprised you didn't. I know you have the same clip, but you didn't bring it up. So I'm going to play my version because it was on the PBS Hour of News. This PBS Power Hour. President Jimmy Carter.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I like this clip where he basically just tells it like it is. He has nothing left to lose. This guy. He doesn't care.
But you said in an interview just in the last few days that you expect that the NSA, the government's been looking at your emails, listening in on your phone calls. So when you've got something important to say, you said you send it by snail mail. Are you sure no one is reading your snail mail?
I can't.
Well, that is constitutionally organized, ma'am, and I'm surprised you didn't know that.
It's against the law.
It's
period.
Yeah, it's constitutionally against the law. You cannot do that. She should know better than to ask the question, and he should have answered it.
Guarantee that. But, I don't feel paranoid about it, but it's been generally acknowledged that every telephone call made, every one that you make, every one that you receive by email, including, is recorded, and they claim that they don't read those messages, but they know that you made the call and to whom you made it and how long it lasted, and if they later want to see your particular call, they can do so. And I think that's very excessive, and I had to deal with that when I was president as well by passing the so-called FISA Act, and that was designed to prevent any American intelligence agency from monitoring any single call of an American, and now of course they record them all.
Oh, there you go. And I believe that to be the truth. And it is exactly what you have said on the show.
I said it early.
Yeah, very early on. I think in 2009.
It was a long time ago.
It surely was.
It seems just like the perfect solution to their problems. Just record everything.
Record everything. And when you need it, go back and say, and it's real. It's real easy, by the way. I've sat in court and I've heard someone present evidence, and you actually hear that lawyer and you go, crap, you put it that way, I sound pretty guilty. That's what these guys do. They're good at it.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah. All right, Sunday we'll be back bringing you more analysis. We forgot to mention the plane.
Oh, the plane, is it still missing?
Apparently. But they found some debris.
They can report on that in the mainstream media. People aren't picking up there. It's not important to anything we do.
Homeschool your kids and give them a diet of no agenda. Sugar-free. Fat-free. GMO-free.
Yes, no carbs.
Coming to you from FEMA Region 6, the capital of the Drone Star State here in Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's a little gloomy today, but I'm happy, I'm John C. Dvorak.
And we will return with another episode of the best podcast in the universe on Sunday, right here on No Agenda. Adios, mofos.
That's one hot MILF, baby.
You wake up with the blues, trying to fill your day with news. There's one thing you must remember, no agenda in the morning.
For a healthy, balanced news diet, try noagendashow.com.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA. child. Sometime in the future, the boy goes wild. And all his nerves are feeling some kind of energy. Walking upwards, and I will try something under the trees that made you cry. It's so erotic when your makeup runs. I got blood loose inside my head. I got books that I never read. I got secrets in my garden shed. I got a scar on my earth's bed. I got people underneath my bed. I got a place where all my dreams are dead. With me inside my van should be so beautiful if we can. I'm feeling something taking over me. I got blood loose inside my head. I got books that I never read. I got secrets in my garden shed. I got a scar on my earth's bed. I got people underneath my bed. I got a place where all my dreams are dead.